HD failure guys put a link to her.
Okay. Okay, we are on the air live. Are we? Yes, we
Yeah,
are. I think we are.
live and ready.
Yeah, I can't see. I had some trouble with Google downloading on me while I was looking at the other screen for the comments, so I can't look at the other screen, so I don't know what's going
My
on.
advice to everybody: don't update anything. Don't update anything. Just until something stops working.
Yeah, they start updating at the most opportune times, don't they? They're just like, okay, he's in a hangout. I'll start updating.
Yeah, never update any. I don't update my Windows. I MGTOW said I'm crazy not to, because I'm risking my life and my very existence not updating my Windows. Don't update your Windows, guys. You don't need it. It's all malware. It's all spyware.
Yeah, you can just uh, just exit out and get rid of it, and then re-download it at certain times if you want to see, you know, what's going on with the new stuff. But it is all malware. There's a lot of malware now.
Yeah, Microsoft they want to know what you're watching, what you're listening to, what websites you're visiting. They want to know everything about you. So I don't think that's any secret. But
So they can see my porn pages, my
yeah, I
porn
can see it.
collection.
Oh, definitely. Everything's collected. Everything's sent then to the central command where they peruse over. They've got a file on everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Like
so what's the topic today, Joe?
I think we were going to talk about men coming and going in and out of MGTOW. We were talking about commitment to MGTOW and commitment to what you do here on YouTube. We see a lot of guys burn out and crash, uh, and there's reasons for that. And I think me and Messenger were talking about just getting over that, getting the thicker skin, and just start doing what's necessary here rather than getting hurt.
Mm. Well, anyone who follows my channel knows that I've been doing a few videos on that. My advice to MGTOW channels and subscribers, and also MGTOW philosophy. That's all about guys that are leaving MGTOW. You know, anyone that's been on a hangout with me knows that it's something I like to talk about because it is a concern, and not many people are talking about it. You know, it's like some people, small and big. Content makers and subscribers, they sort of get disillusioned. Some get disillusioned. Some get burnout, as they call it, and yeah, they just leave. They close down their channel. They delete all their videos. Some of them they've got legitimate reasons. I think woman myth. I think he didn't leave because he what we call rage quit.
Yeah,
I don't think he rage quit. I think he had legitimate reasons, but unfortunately, a lot of good channels, a lot of assets to MGTOW, they disappear.
yeah, that rage quit thing, and it's not also that it's a you got your viewers and you're entrusted with with their viewership at a certain point, and it becomes sort of a second job that you have to do, and you have to take that commitment. If you're willing to take that commitment from the beginning, uh, then I don't know. I don't know if you're the kind of employee I'd hire. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I did put it sort of like that. I said, you know, when you start taking on subscribers or even some channels, there's a few MGTOW channels that ask for donations, of course, and when people start donating, obviously you've got a type of etiquette towards your subscribers now. I mean, some of them, I mean, let's face it, you know, there's some MGTOW channels people take as role models. You know, people take as hero worship.
Yeah, hero worship. Yeah,
Yeah, and people donate and contribute, and I mean, we've done collaborations together. I mean, if one of us closed our channels down, I would feel kind of betrayed because we've invested in this thing, together, and it's like, especially if you made some good content. I mean, some guys they make some excellent videos, we know that, and it's like when you close your channel down, you delete your video, you say, I don't believe in that shit anymore. Obviously, you haven't literally said that, but that's how it can be perceived.
yeah, yeah. We can do a planned obsolescence, sort of like planning your exit and saying, you can send me your videos and I'll post them on my channel. You can send Shining, or I'll post it on a different channel just so people can go back And if you believe that we have an important video with an important message, and to the most part, MGTOW is pretty simple, isn't it?
Well, Messenger, what's your take on it?
I think once people get over that initial content making phase of firstly making the videos, you know, how I became a MGTOW, and then you'll do one on women's nature, and then you'll do one on feminism, and then you'll do one on men going their own way, and that sort of thing. Once you've gone full circle, I think it's important for people not to be influenced by MGTOW, not to stay in that circle, and for that to be your only source of information, because you're not bringing anything new. We're just recycling the old shit. And although the message needs to be repeated, like we were saying earlier, Joe, you know, we need to keep repeating the message.
Yeah.
So that, you know, men hear the message. But we also need to bring information in from outside. Things like Red Pill Chemist, just a simple thing like a video on sound quality for content producers. Then we're learning. Then we're bringing in experiences from outside, information we gather from external sources and research. We bring that into MGTOW. We pull stuff in from outside rather than, like you say, Shining, this hero worship, people on hanging on someone's word and saying, oh wow, he brought a video out and this has changed my life. Nothing anyone says in MGTOW can change your life, because it's been said by others. You'll find that message has been said hundreds of years ago. I mean, people were talking the way we speak now about female nature hundreds of years ago. Females brought down great civilizations, and it's just history repeating itself. So MGTOW, I mean, really, yeah, people deleting their channels and becoming disillusioned. Maybe they're watching too much MGTOW content and letting it affect them when they shouldn't, you know.
But there's a strange and unusual balance with that, because it's like when people start talking about other stuff, you know, the MGTOW community, they might start saying, well, what has this got to do with MGTOW? You know, why have you told us this? You know, I don't want to know about this.
Well, XPAL he released a video, I think it was today, on his second channel, and he was dealing with the issue of homosexuality, and he was talking to JGG, and it was along the lines of, you know, why is this in MGTOW? Why are you bringing this issue to MGTOW? And then people become disillusioned. I won't get into that subject because it's not something I really have time to think about. For me, it's nothing to do with MGTOW. You know, men's issues are men's issues, gay issues are gay issues. But the fact of the matter is, people who come in just need to stick to the message. Just stick to the core message, and then just try and help men. Listen to men and offer solutions. I mean, that for me is, you know, what it's all about: offering solutions, finding information, giving answers. It's just like a big puzzle, and every now and then, if we find a piece, we come and share it with everyone.
Yeah, we have secondary messages and third messages after the original messages too. There's a lot more learning to go through. It's sometimes I'll make a very an unpopular video, like or a series of videos like I just did on why women lie more, and it's a secondary to it's secondary to the question why you shouldn't get married. It's secondary to the question, and there's a lot of brain work that needs to go into that, and you know, we know how the female brain works, and we start talking about those things. There's a million threads to go from there, isn't there?
Oh yeah, I mean, we said yesterday, you know, that society has been so affected by Guyanacentrism.
Yeah.
That we can pick on any aspect that's been corrupted, and we can make a subject out of that. We can deconstruct it, like the English language, where they introduce words to influence people's thinking. You know, we can look at why that word was introduced, the effect it's had, so many things. It's like the tip of the iceberg, what we discuss in MGTOW. There's so much more under the surface, so many more underlying issues that never get brought up. I wanted to look at probabilities, and I wondered if it's something that Dark Knight could shed some light on, because it deals with, I mean, people are looking for meaning in their life.
Right.
And they're looking to become motivated. And one of the factors of not motivating yourself is you convince yourself that the probability of something you set out to do is not very good. You know, the odds are against you, and you talk yourself out of it. But if we dealt in probabilities and we could work out the chances of something being successful, you know, and there are equations for that out there.
Right. Yeah.
And there's so much information we could bring to MGTOW that would help people become positive, you know, and they could say, oh, you know, if I just sit down and equate the chances of this being successful, there's more chance of them going for it rather than slipping back into apathy.
Yeah. Yeah, I always said there's nothing I can't make MGTOW, because everything seems in our society is gynocentric. Someone once said to me, I did a video on this earlier, and about a couple years ago, maybe it was, and I said, there's nothing I can't make in it. And somebody said, well, how about carrot farming? And then I thought about it for a second, and I thought, well, the feminists have one of those 44,000 programs that's for farming. And the rules here in the United States about divorce are different for farmers than they are for you can't marry a farmer and take his land, because that would hurt the general population. And farmers, and there are a few farmers out there that need to know this, but the feminists have already delved into this. So they're trying to start farming in a certain way, and they're getting programs from monies through Health and Human Services and through 501ks to start their own farm business, and they're really terrible at it. It's setting them up for failure, because eventually they're going to need to work the farm. They're going to need men. So these men that they are marrying become slaves to the farm and to the women's interest. So you know, there's little things like that, and it goes a long way. You know, you can associate almost everything in our society to some sort of program or gynocentrism.
Yeah, because they made a fucking nuisance of themselves, and they infiltrated everything, and they're just relentless in the way they go about it. They've got something to say, and because they're women and because they're whiny, you know, and people pander to them and just give them what they want, they've had an effect on everything. So we could relate the MGTOW subject to, and I think it's important that we do. The way Barbarossa does, the way he'll pick on any subject and say, right, this is how feminism has affected that aspect of your life.
Right, yeah, we can
to bring it to light.
We can look at that new Diana Davis thing, when the register lady from the clerk of courts refused to serve licenses to gay people. It doesn't have anything to do with gay people. It's just that for the last 3 months, the feminists have been working on opening up new marriage in court and county clerk houses that were never serving marriage license. So they want, what that means is the sheriff in the town isn't that busy. He's not going out to apprehend men. And these townships become places where men can settle down and start living a MGTOW lifestyle if they've been in the system. But the feminists don't want that. They see these. They want every courthouse to be gynocentrically run. They want every courthouse, and that's where the Diana Davis thing or not. What's her name? Not Diana Davis. She was the for Rowan County, Kentucky, if anybody knows her name. But they get in these positions. Now, in that position, the sheriff himself was making $36,000, but she was the clerk. Guess how much she was making? $100,000. She was giving herself overtime because she was in charge of giving the overtime.
Yeah. It's just corruption.
Yeah, it's just corruption within the court systems, and a lot of guys will go look at that and they'll just say, well, that's about gay marriage and everything. But there's third and fourth issues here with gynocentrism that we can see that, no, it's about gynocentrism. Don't you see how that works? I was talking to a blue pill friend of mine, and he just could not see it, how it had to do with HHS, how it had to do with introducing more of the system into our lives.
They won't see it. I sat in on local government talks for local candidates for elections.
Yeah.
And there was a big issue about immigration. And they were saying, we've got to deal with immigration, you know, that was the big issue, you know, that's the drain on society. And not one of the candidates even spoke about single mothers and the benefits they're claiming. And I thought, is everyone so fucking blind to this? I'm the only person, it was in a big church, a big cathedral. And I thought, I'm the only fucking person here who can see that the main drain on society, and not just in the UK, is single mothers.
Right,
Claiming
yeah.
benefits, getting their houses subsidised and paid for. You know, and I thought nobody's going to address this issue.
Yeah, that's a big scam by it's a big scam there too, because women can come into your country and get a guest visa and then get engaged or get married to a person and then file a domestic violence charge and get immediate residency in that country. They don't have to go through all the bull. And plus she gets set up with whatever she can take. She's in the system. They're going to take his business, his house, half his shit. And yeah, immigration has a lot to do with it if you just start looking for those little links.
Your views on immigration, Shining? I know this is a hot topic for you.
Okay, well, all I know is Stardust doesn't know shit about immigration. Thorium doesn't know shit about immigration. Sargon of Akkad doesn't know shit about immigration.
Yeah.
Well, the issue is not so much immigration. It's about cultural integration.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue. That, you know, people they get all freaked out when people start dressing differently and talking different languages.
Right. Yeah. And it's about gynocentrism, isn't it? To a certain point.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
we have to look at. I don't really care about immigration or all that surface stuff that they give you in the news.
Mm-hmm.
What I really care is about how these women are going to act when they get here.
And that's the thing, you know. That's why I call Starfish out, because he was saying, you know, foreigners, they need to integrate into the Western culture, but Western culture is gynocentric, and these guys are coming from the East, which are a lot more patriarchal. So he's telling everyone to be more feminist.
Yeah, he's telling them to be more feminist, and maybe the females that come to the country don't know it to begin with, how the rules work, but you know, one thing's for certain, and two for sure is they're going to figure it out, aren't they?
Do you know what? I've seen. You know, I had a friend. He came from the Middle East. He brought his wife with him. They were together for a while. She was here for. They've been together. They've been married for like 15 years before they came here. They came here. She was here for 2 years. She divorced him, took his 5 kids, accused him of sexual abuse of his kids. And I had another friend. He came from the Far East. He was, you know, innocent little boy. I used to go to like Sunday school. I see him at Sunday school. Innocent little boy. He could barely speak the language, and then within like a couple of years, he was like stealing cars, in trouble with the police.
Right.
You know, hanging out with it. You know, it's a real mess. I mean, is this really what you want the people to integrate into?
Yeah, it represents everything we say around here. I seen an incident of a person that came over here, and it's just like I says, file a VAW claim, a VAWA, violence against women claim, and they get everything they want. Yeah. And they see this, and so it's feminism. They're ahead of us, you know. And
do you know, maybe one time Western culture was something like you know, like honor and like chivalry in the term of gallantry, not chivalry towards women.
Yeah, that's it. I hear these guys say, "Go and get yourself a foreign bride and bring her in," and I say, "No, don't do that," because we have to revert back to rule number 1 in here. And what is rule number 1 in MGTOW? Don't get married. Don't cohabitate. Don't date these women that, and you know, they start drawing little other rules that, I'm just going to go, or trying to figure out a way around this thing. There is no way around it. You just do rule number 1 to start with.
They've gone full circle, though. They've gone full circle with this feminism bollocks. You know, they've got everything they want. They've got everything their own way, and now they want chivalry as well. They want the man of the house to fucking do half the housework. They want him to fucking bring them flowers and treat him like a lady. They want him to bring up the kids and, you know, do all this sort of shit. And you think, well, fuck me, you know. So now you want chivalry back. Now you've got everything. You want chivalry back. It's such a mixed message, and they've got all these benefits. That's the thing. All the nagging and whining they've done has got them the benefits. They're not going to give those up.
No, they're
not. And like you say, they tell other women, come to England, you know, claim this has happened. They give them all the fucking loopholes. Come to claim this has happened. Say that man hit you or whatever, and next thing you know, you've got a house. So they're passing this information down now. They're too well entrenched.
Yeah. The lawyers on a lawyer page, you can go to a lawyer page for immigration, and that's the discussion with these women, and it'll always go to, but you have to put that link together in your head and see, oh, wait a second, she's just setting some poor fool up that thought he was getting some bride that was perfect, the Nawalt woman, and we know there's no Nawalt.
Deception. Any woman that comes over, you know, faking the fact that they love a man or whatever, they're going to look after a man, they are well practiced at deception. I don't have to tell anybody that. And any man stupid enough to fall for it is going to get turned over. But that is an inherent trait in a woman. That is the only weapon they have. You know, men are physically stronger. We can work. We can earn our money. Women deceive. They use their vaginas. That's how they get provided for. You know, even when they say they work in the workplace, they don't do fuck all. They you know, men have to carry them, and you know, they want equal money for doing the same job as a man. They don't do hardly any work. No, they don't do a fraction of the work that a man does. So again, women are just armed with the means to deceive and manipulate, and that's how they get their money.
Yeah, the gun didn't leave the room. I often say, if you're going to play that game, you're going to get played by the game. The gun didn't suddenly disappear from the room, and the women, these 44,000 programs didn't suddenly go away because the male found himself this woman that he thinks, and he's deluding himself that he thinks is this Nawalt. You know, them rules didn't change.
Yeah.
It's a poison, you know. It's like the West is a pool, a polluted pool where someone's just been shitting and pissing all over in the pool, and then you say, oh well, let's bring this nice clean woman in, and she jumps in the pool and she stinks as piss and stinks as shit, and then people wonder, oh, why is she now so messed up, crazy batshit? And that's exactly how it is. I mean, there's a thing that actually that circulates amongst the ethnic minorities, and that's you know, don't bring your wives over, which is why they keep their wife in Pakistan or in back home, wherever that is, and they work here and they send the money back over because they know, you know, because of all the incidences, and they know what's happened before. So
they know what it is. It's because feminism preyed on the fact that they know women are selfish and stupid. Yeah. If they tell women, go out to work, you know, you can be independent, all of that stuff, they'll do it. They're easily sold the lie, and they just queue up for it. And even a woman, you know, I've seen it firsthand, a woman from a traditional tribal background where she was brought up to be a wife and a mother, she spends a year in England, she's immediately corrupted. All she's got to do is watch a few episodes of fucking Keep Up with the Kardashians, and the next thing you know, she wants fucking arse implants and you know, bigger lips. And I just think, well, fucking, what happened to you, you know?
Yeah, Sex in the City, Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Yeah, all that bollocks.
Yeah, I've seen this a whole lot in my community. I live in a very Hispanic community, and there was steel mills and stuff like that for the men to come up and get jobs and integrate into America, and it's very easy to do. So these men were coming up, and they're bringing these traditional Catholic women up, and they thought, well, this is the Nawalt, and then they look out, and all you got to do, like you said, is watch Law and Order for 2 days, and and all those programs and watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and they get the message right away. And these guys were getting traumatically, they were getting impacted traumatically. They didn't understand what was happening.
Oh, I'm reminded of that film, Heaven and Earth. Have you guys seen that?
No, I
About
haven't.
about the American Marine that goes over to Vietnam. The American Marine, he gets divorced. He has his children taken from him. He joins the army. He goes over to Vietnam. He marries a Vietnamese woman, brings her back over.
Oh yeah,
She does exactly the same thing to him.
yeah. Okay, I
And
think I did see
in the
that
end,
movie.
he kills himself. I think it's by Martin Scorsese, but I think he based it around a true story. I mean, it's not going to be far-fetched from the truth. I'm sure a lot
Oh
of people will
yeah,
take it.
that's where they glorified this woman because her father was some kind of rebel too, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's a sad story, and unfortunately, it's reflected in reality as well. A lot of people they think, oh, she's not going to be like that. This is my, people that get married the third, the fourth, fifth time, and they think, and even rich guys. Who's that rich guy that got married 5 times? And I mean, even the idiot.
Phil Collins is doing it.
Yeah.
He's on his third or fourth.
Oh,
Glutton for
Bill. Yeah, Billy Joe.
Yeah,
yeah,
Donald Trump. He's married like 2 or 3 times, and he's been taken. Well, he loves it, doesn't he? He's a knob at him. He loves it.
yeah. He can
Yeah.
afford to fucking. Well, depends how much they take.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's out of there.
Yeah,
You kick him out.
mid-sentence,
We've had
yes.
enough of him.
YouTube didn't like what he said. or Donald Trump didn't like it. The Illuminati.
The Illuminati. Yeah, I'm. That's what someone said. Shining light. Illuminati confirmed.
Illuminati confirmed.
Well, I was going to talk about Messenger's upcoming video. He's got a really good video coming up about how men. I hope he doesn't mind me. Well, Messenger, speak up now, or forever hold your peace. If you object to me talking about your upcoming video, no, he's got a really good video talking about how men could fall in love with an inanimate object. He's saying this male mother need. Well, you've heard him talk about male mother need before.
Yes, I was doing a little research last night on that.
But he's got. Although he's back.
Okay.
Yeah, turn your camera on, brother. Let's have a look at you.
You're gonna dox yourself?
I'm too good looking. You'll only get jealous.
Later, brother.
You don't want to hurt the beta's feelings.
Did I just get kicked out?
Yeah, well done, well done.
Your moderation skills, Joe.
I need improving.
I'm the guinea pig.
We said that was the Illuminati. They kicked you out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as soon as Donald Trump came up. Yeah, I was just mentioning your upcoming video, Messenger, about how men could easily fall in love with an inanimate object if it showed him like the affection and the love that he felt that he needed.
It's like that Ex Machina film,
Right. Yeah.
It
Good
is
film,
that
good film.
where a man can become emotionally attached to anything that fulfills his needs, or at least become dependent on that thing. If over an extended period of time that thing fulfills his sexual needs or took on the form of a woman, even if it wasn't a real woman, he himself would become dependent and form an attraction to this object, which just reinforces the fact that love doesn't exist. It only exists within you.
Yeah.
You've got this need. You've got the need. That's all it is. And when that need goes away, and with women, because they've got no loyalty, they are just a parasite that seeks out a host. When the host stops feeding the parasite goes and finds another host.
Yeah.
And they switch their feelings on and off, which is why men get hurt, because men become attached, and they'll become attached to anything that just fulfills their basic needs. That's how simple we are. And that's why I'm sort of looking at us becoming more dependent on ourselves, looking inwards for the things we need, meaning, purpose, fulfillment, just by achieving things and finding happiness in tasks that we do that don't depend on anybody else. If you depend on someone else for your happiness, or to make you feel respected or loved, if you believe in such a thing, then you're giving them the power. And I see a lot of MGTOW, and this is the thing I don't understand, where they can't sort of look at the higher level. They only seek to obtain pussy,
Right.
and
There's
they
slaves to that.
talk about it. They say, you know, the golden vagina, it's not a fucking golden vagina. It is just a saliva gland, and it smells.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if that's your only need from a woman, you're telling women, you've got power over me, and then they know. And women are born manipulators. They practice deceit, and they know that you will do anything to get that, and they've got power over you. If you can overcome that need and say, look, I can fucking get that anywhere, I can go get a cheap whore, I can fucking have a wank, whatever, that need is then put to one side, and you can concentrate on the real things that make you feel alive. You know, having a shag doesn't make you feel alive. That's not being alive. That's just getting your rocks off. You have a 5-second orgasm, and then you can't wait to fucking get rid of her. Things that make you feel alive are, like you say, when you go hang gliding, if you do a skydive, anything like that, then you know you're alive. That is ecstasy. You know, these things bring real happiness to a man. Women, I mean, temporary,
Yeah.
Short term.
Short term.
That's what I always say. What am I going to do with the other 23 hours and 15 minutes of the day?
This is
Go on.
this is just the thing, you know, sort of the message I'm trying to get across, where although it's only half an hour, like you say, Joe, what you're going to do with the other 23 and a half hours of the day, they'll spend that trying to obtain the woman that will give them the half hour. It's fucking so much time wasted. They could spend that time doing something that will bring themselves a sense of fulfillment and bring some meaning back into their life. Because it is a meaningless pursuit, chasing women. It really is. And the rewards for it are, you know, just minuscule.
I was just watching a video this morning. A new MGTOW channel. I completely forget his name. I should do a shout out video someday. But he's actually an elderly MGTOW. I think he's about 62. He's talking about his son or his grandson and his granddaughter. And his video was based upon telling guys to beware of the breezy woman. I don't know if you've ever heard of that term before.
The breezy woman.
It's a woman that comes in and out of your life. So yeah, you know, generally she's quite attractive, and she'll come, she'll use you for whatever, and then she'll just leave. And quite often, you know, depending on the tolerance of the man, you know, he could be quite damaging emotionally. I mean, this is something we don't address amongst men. You know, going from one relationship to another can be quite you know, can take quite a toll on your emotional well-being. And of course, Dark Knight, he made a really good video, didn't he, about asking the question: is chasing women detracting men from their potential?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's definitely distracting. It's too much time, and the juice isn't worth the squeeze. And I can benefit more by. I could benefit more by doing 15 minutes work around here a day and improve my life and have real, true happiness. If I dedicate 15 minutes to anything once a day over a year's period, it's going to come to fruition, and it's going to be something big at the end of the year.
Well, it's also like that hierarchy of needs. You know, I'm trying to explain it in so many different ways, so that, you know, when it just the penny drops, if it's explained in a way, and it has to be explained in different ways for different people. So the more we repeat the message, the better. But that hierarchy of needs, in the middle, after you've obtained your basic needs to stay alive and function, you know, your food, your water, your house, your job, your money, you start ascending the pyramid. And at the top is self-actualization, where, you know, you realize your full potential as a man. But in the middle is the stumbling block for MGTOW. And that is sexual intimacy. He sees it as a need, and it is a need, because we can't deny the fact that that is a need, a biological need for men, and it won't go away. But so many men get stuck there. They don't transcend, they don't progress, but also that need is the root cause of them losing everything they've accumulated up to that tier of the pyramid. So by chasing pussy and searching for sexual intimacy, if it goes wrong, they lose their house, their job, their money, they end up on the streets, and then all their basic needs aren't taken care of anymore, and they have to start right from fucking ground zero. So that chasing pussy is so damaging, so damaging.
Yeah.
It's an interesting issue, because I don't think most men have really got the message. Because if we take two men living two different lifestyles, you've got the married man and you've got the single man. Yeah, the single man, he's romanticizing about one day getting married, and he's doing his thing. And you've got the married man. I mean, the married man, is he able to pursue his hobbies? Is he able to keep up his level of fitness? Is he able to develop his interests? For example, well, let's just take the extreme example, like some scientist or some mathematician. He wants to develop some new formula, or he wants to develop some new mode of transport, some new form of energy. Can you picture that married man going into that marriage, having children, living in a house in the West? We're talking about just in the West, obviously, and then him living, having the same dedication to his hobbies, to his to his self-development, or to the development of his invention as a single man.
One friend I know, and I think his wife is really strong and supportive, in the respect that she doesn't say anything. He's a multi-millionaire. He owns a very big company. He employs over, last count I think was 150 men, and he's done really well. And I think the only reason he's done it is because she didn't fuck him over. And I always say to people, they respect him, and he's worked hard to get where he is. And I say, he's lucky she didn't fuck him over, because she could have taken everything, and he'd be the same as the rest of us, just making a living and doing whatever. But yeah, the general rule is any married man is just the fucking house clown.
He's the house clown, brother.
He's the lawnmower man, He's just Mr. Nobody.
He's the light bulb changer. He's the spider chaser. He's the can opener. He's the house knob.
Yeah.
Because it's that lifestyle we're talking about. I mean, we are talking about the lifestyle of a married man. Is that married man now? We're talking about the West, obviously. I have to emphasize that, because we don't know what's going on the other side. He's living quite a humiliating lifestyle. I mean, my last video, around that old man that sent his story, I hate my wife. I mean, that's, let's face it, that's quite common. I think, I was reading that, I said, well, I'm sure nearly all the old men, they've got a similar story. And my neighbor, every weekend, in keeping with tradition, he sits out in his garage. He's old now, his wife has passed away, but he's gotten so used to sitting out in the garage that he's done it even though, she's left. He's got the house to himself. But he still does it.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
He's institutionalized.
Institutionalized.
Right.
I think it takes, there was a figure that said it takes half as long again. So if you've been relegated to the couch for, say, 2 years, and you leave her, and then you get your own place, you will still sleep on your couch for a year before you can break that habit. You've just become institutionalized. You still can't get out of your self-imposed prison.
Strange. It's like that panda that was transported from China to the US for the zoo, and it was given like a 5 by 3 foot cage, and then for like 6-7 months, the panda you know, was in what's it? When they're in transit and making sure he's not got some disease.
Quarantine.
Yeah, it was in quarantine for that long,
Yeah.
and he just kept on pacing up and down this cage. And then when it got to the zoo in the US, they let they took the panda out, and the panda just kept on walking back and forth like it was sitting in the cage, and it did this for a few weeks, and then they just euthanized it. It's
Yeah.
quite sad, isn't it? I mean, have men
That's
become
learned
like that?
helplessness. That is learned helplessness. And there's another thing. They did an experiment. I'm just trying to think who did the experiment. Thorndike. I think it was Thorndike who did the experiment. Anyway, they put an animal in a cage, and the animal has the means. There's a lever in the cage. It has the means to let itself out. So when the animal finally figures out how to open the door, pull the lever, the animal gets praised and rewarded. So it learns then to release itself quicker and quicker and quicker, because when it frees itself from its prison, there's an incentive to do so. Then they take the incentive away, and the animal learns to be helpless because it's been imprisoned for so long. It thinks, what's the point of me leaving? There's nothing outside. There's no food,
Right.
There's no praise. And in the end, it will sit in there, despite the fact that it can walk out the door, and it won't pull the lever. It just thinks, I may as well fucking stay here. And this is what I'm seeing in Mgtow. I'm seeing a lot of people who've got this learned helplessness where you say to them, right, now you're free. Now you've got your autonomy. What are you going to do with it? And they say, I'm going to sit and play video games, which is fine if that's what you want to do and that's your way to be free. I'm not saying that's not being free, but some people do that because they just don't know what to do with themselves,
Right.
and they don't know how to handle freedom. So they will sit in their cage and say, I don't know why I should come out. Maybe I'll just stay in here. And it's because they've learned to be helpless.
Right, yeah. We look at these artificial systems that they've built. We were talking about this yesterday with the moral agency of men, and we're looking for this right and wrong standard. And I know it's entirely subjective, but when we see this learned helplessness, we have to look back and say to these guys that these systems are created, they're structured, and they have this intentionality about them to do that, for you to learn this learned helplessness. Then you're the slave.
Yeah, and your place is to be in that box. And every time you dare to step out of it, they will put you back. And they put you back so many times,
right,
and enslave you so often, you just become resigned to the fact that that's your place, and you don't feel deserving of anything more.
Yeah, your moral agency should base around and center around you and your happiness and what gives you this freedom to. But they've learned not to anymore. And
exactly, Joe. That is exactly it. And they say, oh, but I used to work for my wife, or I was born to provide for others. And you say, well, now you provide for yourself. And they say, I don't understand. That's it.
Yeah, they don't understand. Yeah, that's our problem here, is creating a visual of these structures that have been formed that force them on it, and a lot of times they're going to reject that visual that we give them.
I think it starts quite young as well. I think as boys, well, we all know that schools they're more they've tried to shift the focus to helping girls now.
Lean in.
but I think even quite young. I mean, the education system is very, very standardized. It's very linear. It's like you've got maths, English, and maybe physics and biology. But what about all the other areas like art or music or something like that? Something just maybe that the kid might enjoy. Maybe like MMA. Fighting. Maybe the kid wants to be a fighter. Just something that the kid will be good at. No, it's either at school you have to be. You have to be good at maths, English, and science, and also whenever the child speaks in a certain way, it's like at school, you have to talk a certain way, you have to almost think a certain way. I think it starts quite early, and when you're in a classroom and everybody else is acting a certain way, it is quite. I think it is quite oppressive. I mean, there's not really much expression at schools.
No, there isn't. Well, boys are forced. It becomes forced at a certain point where they're forced to sit in their chairs, and boys need activity, and they can learn math differently, and they can apply math differently. A simple bike, a bicycle, a pedal bike is a plethora of math problems. Playing baseball, basketball, sports, soccer, rugby. When you start looking at those stats, there's just a multitude of math problems and things, different ways to teach boys. But no, they're bound to those chairs, and we all know that feeling of being bound to that chair, and it's helplessness, and I can't move out of this chair, and I'm going to get in trouble if I move out of this chair. So that's what they're teaching them from the beginning.
Drug them now, don't they? Oh, that boy's too boisterous, you know.
Yeah.
Let's he's got ADHD. Let's give him some fucking Ritalin or whatever they give him, and drug him, and pacify him and make him more placid.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. These young lads with that much energy, they should harness that energy.
Yeah.
Put those lads in sports.
Put them in sports. Put them in the ring. You know, put them on. You know, put them on something else. You know, like make them run around. When I was like 6, 7, 8 years old, my teacher made us run around the school for each year we were. So if you were 8 years old, you'd have to run around the school 8 times. And if you're 9, you have to run around the school 9 times.
Yeah, and that's a simple mathematic. Yeah, that's a simple. You can start introducing second step intelligence to these boys at that point. You know, running around the school. How many times did you take a step, and then you start doing charting and graphing and mapping from there, and you say you did 1,300 steps. How many does that work out in feet? And then how can you get to your point early? You could do things like that, but they don't, because is it that the school administrators are so they're told what to do and what to give, and they're functionally fixed on that, and they can't see out of the box.
I mean, when we're telling men, you know, use your freedom, you know, don't spend, don't focus, don't prioritize, you know, chasing the unholy vagina, you know, go do something else. I mean, they basically say, well, what do I do? You know, what am I supposed to do? And the problem is, I mean, you talk about groupthink, but the fact is we are in one big group thinking. In the West, yeah. we have to talk a certain way, walk a certain way. We have to, you know, we can't eat, you know, you have to eat like certain types of food, and you have to have certain types of beliefs. I mean, we are in one big group think. I mean, that's something that I don't think people can quite see yet.
Yeah, if all this stuff is so good for us, why are people dying earlier and not living as long? And why are men dying before they, you know, get to 62 now?
Yeah, and why are people so depressed? You know, why is mental health, mental sickness so prevalent?
It's because their expectations of life and what they think they deserve to have, it's just gone through the fucking ceiling. They've forgotten how to appreciate and be grateful for the things they've got. You know, it's all this lottery lifestyle where everyone thinks one day they're possibly going to win the lottery and be a millionaire or be famous, and all this X Factor shit that's going on. People have forgotten to appreciate the things they take for granted. And all of those things are free. And what they don't realize is the things that are free, you can't be exploited for. So you can go and have a walk out in the country. It's good for you. It's going to add to your life. It doesn't cost anything. And nobody's going to stop you and say, that walk in the country costs you fucking £10. But these superficial means of finding some meaning and getting some pleasure out of life, you know, going to nightclubs, drinking, drugs, all these short-term fixes. That's where people see people's weaknesses, and they exploit them for it.
Yeah.
And it destroys their lives. It becomes their undoing. So these people are depressed because they just don't know how to appreciate anything, and it's all there. It's all there. They could make a fucking meal. It's pleasurable to cook something new, and just taste it and say, well, fuck me, that's good. I made that. I'll do that again next week. And next thing you know, you've got a routine, but it's a productive one, and it's not it's not detrimental to your life. I know it's not much, but people want so much more out of life. We're just human beings, for fuck's sake. Nobody's going to win the lottery.
We've been sold this. We've been sold this idea. We've been sold this idea that success is a certain thing, and that's what I mean. We're told, and anybody that doesn't think that way, they're considered strange. It's like,
yeah, if you reject these bridge to nowhere programs, like you're gonna go through school, you're gonna get into this great place called college, and something magical is gonna happen there. And then you're going through college and you're going to get this great job, and there's something magical is going to happen at the end of that. Then you go get this job and you go get this wife, and something magical is going to happen. All these are bridge to nowhere programs. I think TFM was saying, and it keeps you in the marketing system, and it keeps you selling. They're selling to these kids, and they're selling to these men, and then the next step comes, and then there's always the next step that's going to make you happy. When in reality, the next step is just finding you and being you.
Yeah, Mass Mgtow just said that he got medicated. I think he's only 16, isn't he? He got medicated because he didn't take shit in his head. Yeah, poor guy.
Oh yeah, we see that so much. They wanted to medicate my son too, and I told them no, that's we're not going to do that.
Wow, I can't believe it.
Yeah, do your job. That's what I told them. Do your job.
Yeah, I say to all people that are having children, don't let them get the injection. I know this is something that I talked to Nico about, but as soon as they're born, it's like they want to medicate them, they want to inject them, they want to give them, all these shots.
My nephew, they said they tried to. I think they suspended him 3 times from school, and I don't have favourites, I've got a lot of brothers and sisters, and they've all got kids, but he's a real character. And I thought, I hope they don't beat that out of him. He never hurt anyone. He was never a spiteful kid. He was just monstrous, and he was funny. He made me laugh. And one of the things he did, because the headmaster of the school had upset him. So at the end of assembly, all the kids had to stand up and clap, and then they had to sit down. And when all the kids sat down, he stayed on his own, stood up, clapping, slow hand clapping.
Nice.
And he looked the headmaster right in the eye as he was doing it. And the headmaster said, "Stop now. Stop what you're doing. Stop." And he wouldn't stop. And I thought, wow, this is what I want to hear. He's strong-willed. He's not going to be told what to do, and he's got a mind of his own. And they suspended him for it. And I said to my sister, I hope they don't break his spirit. And I tell you what, now he is the nicest kid you'll ever meet. I think he's about 19 now. But he's so level-headed, he's sensible, he looks after his mother, he fixes cars, he's a good mechanic. And he grew up to have a mind of his own, and I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to break these kids, break their will, break their spirit, and just make them conform.
Like plow horses, aren't they?
Yeah, they're trying to erase their personalities.
It's a good issue. I mean, school doesn't teach independence. It doesn't teach people how to live independently, and what to expect once they leave school. What to expect once they leave their parents. It reminds me of the film Dead Poet Society. When Robin Williams, But now no longer with us. He was a school teacher that was trying to teach kids, teach the students to think outside the box. He was like trying to teach them. He taught English, but he wanted them to think beyond the textbooks and beyond the normal classroom. And I think that's something that we are really lacking, particularly in the UK. I'd say, I think high school. I think high school really does destroy the the male spirit. I think that is a real killer. I think some comedian made a joke about that. You know, he made a joke that you know, he went through high school and then that was the last of his free spirited nature. But it's absolutely true. I think it's very sad, very very sad. You know how you can be institutionalized to be demobilized.
Yeah, yeah. Are there any boys' schools left where just boys go to school anymore?
Oh yeah, there are.
Do they have
Uh,
those in England still?
Mm.
yeah, they
Yeah,
have boys and girls schools. A lot of it is
private
the
schools. Yeah.
the Catholic schools, and but the rich towns. There's a rich town near me where I used to live, and they've got a separate boys' school and a separate girls' school. Those are the two main schools. So the sexes are divided.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
don't know why.
yeah, that would be an option if you did have children to send your boy to a boys' school. I don't think we have them here anymore. I think Title IX has, or Title VII, whichever title. There's so many titles now, has destroyed the boys' schools.
But I think it is. I mean, because we were talking about how men they're taught this idea of what love is, and I think well, once you remove their independent thought, once you remove their spirit of independent thought, you can start indoctrinating them with your own ideas. You know, so you have to get married, you have to get a 9 to 5 job, you have to pay your taxes, you have to be um, a government-loving citizen. I mean, the thing is, this is something that they put China down about. You know, that there's a current BBC series criticizing China, how they indoctrinate their children to love their family, to love the country, to love their teacher. But that's exactly what we do here.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same. It's just we don't we use different terminology about it. You know, if we like start speaking out against the government, you know, the government puts you on a nice little list. I mean, my friend, he every time he goes to the, in fact, I'd say nearly all my friends, every time they go through the airport now, that they take special interest in them because they'll put something, something they wrote on the Facebook or something you know, they tweeted or something like that, and it's absolutely ridiculous. You know, that the thought police. And this is the state we're living in. You know, it sounds like something out of a George Orwell story, but
Yeah.
it's
Is this
it's
a
like
power grab by the authoritarian administrators of education? Do you see it as a power grab by them? They want to be so much a power. We see this with the rape culture now. You know, they've supplemented. They have, you know, kangaroo courts and these tribunals that they held on college now, like they're real, like they're a real part of our, and everybody accepts it as being a real part of our legal system, but it's not. It's just a kangaroo court. But if we let it go too far now, it has become a part of our system.
mm, mm. I think, yeah, it saddens me how you know, the male spirit's destroyed. So, you know, we don't get to fight for, you know, for a more independent type of education. We don't get to fight for a more just legal system. You know, we don't get to fight for our, you know, for the rights, you know, to be a man, to be a father. You know, I mean, the three of us here, we've lost quite a great deal, and one of them is time with our kids.
You
Yeah.
know what I think it is with society and the way it treats men? I think men are just repeatedly punished. We keep getting punished. Anytime we do something out of line, they feel the need to beat us with a stick and break us mentally and emotionally. And we're just so fucking subjugated. It's unbelievable. A man comes out of school and gets a job, and they say, right, now you provide for a woman,
Yeah.
or we're going to call you gay. If you step out of line, we're going to lock you up, and
Right.
you will fucking toe the line, or we'll lock you up for longer next time. If not, join the army, you know, and you're going to be broken down and built up again as a soldier, and you will fight and die for your country.
Which is
These are
even
the
worse.
options for men, you know. You provide for a fucking entitled woman, you go to jail, or you go and get shot in a foreign land. I mean, really, and if you don't do any of these things when they say fucking do them, you'll be ridiculed, shamed, punished, and it's just you get to
Yeah.
the point where that's why so many men just give in and become the house clown, and
Right. Yeah.
all those empty promises, sex, a woman to love you
A
and care
family,
for you.
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
children.
that's all bullshit. That's all taken away the minute you fucking start handing over your weekly wage. They say, oh, by the way, that was a big fucking lie. Not going to happen.
yeah. Is this tournament mating system in hyperdrive? These malformed thugged males practicing authoritarian systems on young boys to mold them in the form that they want to see, and what they are is malformed, and they're still tournament mating, and they feel the need to beat down the males, so they put themselves at the top.
Yeah. I had one on my channel, actually, and he was he was fucking dick swinging, and he thought, well, I'll come amongst these MGTOWs because this is easy pickings. And he said, yeah, well, I'm getting pussy. I thought, well, go and tell that to someone who's getting more pussy than you if you want a fucking competition, because we don't want the pussy.
Yeah.
We don't want it. You're not proving anything here. And
Yeah.
it's almost like that one-upmanship between men where they just feel like they've got to make themselves feel better about themselves
Yeah. We
by
threaten
putting
their
other men down.
very existence, the tournament mating system that they hold as core values. When we MGTOWs, we say,
Yeah.
well, that doesn't it does nothing for me. We threaten their system. It does nothing. Him, getting that from a woman does nothing for me. It doesn't add anything to my life. But it's expected to us to respect them values, them core values, and they're for shit. They're for shit. They're malformed, and they're simps. They're simps.
That's why they get so angry and start with the insults, because we say, we don't respect you for that. In fact, it's quite the opposite. We think you're stupid. We think you're going to make mistakes, and we give them, logical reasons why we don't do it. And then they just say, oh, you're a bunch of faggots. And you think,
Yeah.
you came here expecting to be held up as some sort of fucking king of the PUAs or whatever you're fucking doing. And you've just been ridiculed, So, yeah, it's
Yeah.
just fucking swinging.
They will protect their system and what makes sense to them. But man, at the same time, it's a form of a tell, isn't it? They tell on themselves automatically, but they can't see when we see it as being repulsive.
Isn't that some sort of inferiority complex? It's like some sort of inadequacy in a man if he's got to repeatedly chase women to prove himself as a man. I can understand it when you're young and you're full of it and you just want to go and shag anything that moves. You shag the neighbour's cat if it fucking stood still for long enough. But these men who go through life and it becomes the be-all and end-all, you think, what are you trying to prove here? Who are you trying to impress? How many notches do you need on your bedpost? And it becomes ridiculous, and they start to look like a bit of a fool because you think, well, you wasted your whole life doing that, and nobody's impressed now. Like the old man in the nightclub, and he's still got his 70s fucking clothes on and a medallion and a chest wig, and you think, give it up now, give it up. Everybody's moved on, get a life. And it's that sort of mentality where you just think, it didn't get you anywhere then, and it's not going to get you anywhere now. There's bigger and better things to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, what is the solution? I mean, obviously, we're making videos. We're trying to get men to think outside the box. We're trying to help guys that might end up in a very, very damaging situation. But I mean, what would you tell the guys out there? That okay, they're gonna say, okay, I'm MGTOW now. I'm not gonna get married, but like
Learn to love yourself. Learn to escape that prison that you're still sitting in. Learn to find some meaning and focus on the things you're good at. And the old saying, what you can be, you must be. And that means the things you're good at, there's a need for you to be the best you can at those things. There are other things you need, but they're not as rewarding. So just find some meaning, something that's achievable, not an unrealistic goal. You know, you're not going to go to the fucking moon, but just set your sights high and things that you can do. And that's where I think people are failing. You know, they lack direction. Even if you just take steps every day to, and it sounds like an old cliche, but just to be a better person. If you say, okay, I'm going to read for 2 hours, there's something I always wanted to know about. There was a productive 2 hours of your day that you would have spent, I don't know, chasing women or watching TV. It's that simple. It really is.
I'd like to say people should open their horizons. You know, they should think. They should. I know it's cliche. You know, think outside the box. You know, don't presume that what the Daily Mail says is true. Don't presume what CNN says about what's going on over in the Middle East is actually what's happening. You know, don't presume that you know your neighbor is you know is evil because you've never met the guy. You know, I'd like to see a much stronger brotherhood amongst men. You know, I'd like to see men opening up and start communicating with each other, because there's like there's like an urban myth that, you know, men should be solitary, men should be sturdy and not you know, and not be like, you know, sociable, for lack of better words. But I think MGTOW definitely. I mean, we're supposed to be away from that. You know, let's. You know, you know, you've got something on your mind, or you've got some perception that you think might be questionable. You know, let's have it out. You know, let's talk things over. Let's open communications up.
Yeah, and there's people like Dark Knight as well, and I know where he's coming from now. He's frustrated by the fact that he's providing all this valuable information, and then he gets some silly comments.
Oh yeah, with the
really, I mean, we're in this environment, and we're mixing with men from different backgrounds, and we should really think, okay, next time I speak to DK or next time I go to his channel, there's something I always wanted to know, and he's the man with the answers. He's the man who can tell me, you know. So yeah, we're in this environment where we could draw so much information and benefit from the other people that are also MGTOW.
Yeah, because I mean, let's face it. You know, well, anybody that says that they have enough knowledge or they know enough is a complete idiot. The fact is, we all come from ignorance. You know, nobody, no man, no person, no matter how learned he is, knows enough. And in fact, that's one thing about science, that, you know, the more you learn, the more questions you have. So and you know, we all come from different backgrounds. We all have different specialties. We all have different levels of education. And I think MGTOW is a really good opportunity for men. I know you guys have heard me say it so often, for men from all over the world, you know, to learn from each other. And we need this humility. You know, that I think that's a point I'd like to make. We need this humility that you know, that perhaps this man I'm talking to, he might be right. You know, he might have a point that I've not seen before.
Well, they spent so long trying to stop men from talking to each other, and now we've got the freedom to do this, and a lot of people maybe are uncomfortable, don't know how to speak to other men, or you know, or feel like they shouldn't be discussing certain things. We can do whatever we want. We can speak to whoever we like.
Yeah. And on that note, we've got Mass MGTOW come join us, a new channel.
yes.
Hello.
Hello, Mass MGTOW. Would you like to? Well, you're new on MGTOW scene, or are you?
Yeah, well, I'm new to the YouTubing part. I've been watching McTell videos and reading the forums and stuff like that for a while now.
Is it true you're only 16 years old?
Yes, that is true.
Well, you wouldn't be able to tell. I mean, he's a smart kid, wouldn't you say?
Oh yes.
Oh, you haven't seen his videos? You haven't seen his channel?
I did actually watch one video.
I've been having internet problems for the past week, so I haven't really been able to do many uploads.
Okay.
Well,
so what's your story?
Well, actually, I've got all that in the videos, but basically well, what part of the story do you want?
How
Or,
how how did you find MGTOW, or what was your attraction towards MGTOW? You know, from what
I first
background?
found Mgtow through a turd-fling monkey video, actually.
Okay.
It was his Why Civilized Society Hates Men video.
Hmm.
Okay.
But obviously you're susceptible to MGTOW. So obviously, you know, you must have seen like signs of Guyanacentrism, or maybe you was
Yeah.
a victim of a very nasty relationship. Maybe some.
Yeah, that would be my sister.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we were just talking about schooling, and obviously you're still in school and everything. Do you see signs of male oppression in school, and just from the overage of female teachers and gynocentrism in the schools nowadays? And is that any better now? I've been so far removed from high school, but what do you see in your high school when you look around now as a MGTOW?
I see. Well, it's been a few months since I've been in school. My school actually starts this coming Wednesday, so
Okay.
that's gonna be annoying.
That's gonna
But
Mm.
be annoying.
but it's I mean, you can look at the classes. There's two obviously male classes, and then you have all of this, arts, all these art classes that don't appeal to most males. Like I look in one of these art classrooms, and it's about 82% females,
Yeah.
and the males are sitting there like, just let me draw if that's what we're doing. And and even in the more male classes, well, the only one really is woodshop, and that's just boring, sitting there doing what you're supposed to do and not really much else.
Well, we were just talking about that. I mean, what kind of ideas would you bring? I mean, what would you? I mean, barring video games. I mean, what would you like to see introduced to the classroom? So maybe they could incorporate the kids' interest along with some type of a schooling or advancement.
I'd like to see more physical activity.
Mm. How about like a martial arts class? They should bring that into instead of running around the field, don't you think?
That would work.
Yeah, martial arts, MMA in high schools.
Isn't that wrestling? Do they still have wrestling in American high schools?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, wrestling's big in my neighborhood. It's like it's huge. From the time that you're about your age to the end of high school in my area, wrestling is televised, and it's quite a big event. So the boys do get some wrestling and basketball and football.
Do you know what I would have liked when I was at school? I would have liked somebody to bring their car in, and then the teacher show the boys how to take the car apart. That would have been good. I would have liked to learn how to take an engine apart when I was at school. That would have been nice.
Put it back
Well,
together
yeah,
and get
but
it
who
started.
supplies the car?
Oh, you can get cars for nothing. You can just go to the scrapyard. They'll give you a car.
Yeah.
You know, it's just for demonstration purposes. As long as it
Yeah.
rolls in, and you'll be surprised. You know, people are throwing their cars away, and I mean that's not the issue. Is trying to get the space and get the school to agree to it. I think, or even an airplane. Yeah, let's bring an airplane into school. Yeah, yeah. There's like in the US they've got like 500,000 unused planes. They're just laying. They call them
Oh yeah, I've seen those dead junkyards of planes.
yeah, bring one of them into the classroom. I bet the boys would shut up and watch then. I bet you they would.
Yeah,
Show
And
them the
I'd
cockpit and
sit
then
there
take it all
taking
apart.
video of it.
Yeah.
yeah, my son had auto tech in high school, and it was one of the schools. It was there's not too many of those schools that provide tech courses, but he took auto tech in high school, and he says and I talked to his teacher once, and the teacher said, "Boy, there's so many things that I would like to teach the boys, regardless. But they have a syllabus, and they have they have a pattern of what the way they, they look at bolts. He says he was going through nuts and bolts, and you have your number 12, your number 8, your number 6, your number 4 bolts and everything. And he says the government wants us to teach them how many threads and the distance between the threads on all of those, and then the mathematical combination between the threads. And boy, that makes it boring,
Why?
doesn't it? Yeah, why? Just okay, this is a number 12 bolt.
Teach them how to use it, not the
Yeah, the importance
not
of the
how
bolt.
it works, but
Yeah.
how to use it.
Yeah, a number 8 in this situation would take so much stress, and a boy would go, okay, how much stress is that? And then that would be interesting, not like the mathematical equation for how many threads per quarter inch.
Well, what happens then if you strip that? If you strip the bolt, then how many threads per square inch?
Yeah, then how many? Yeah, how to get it out of there? How to use the tool to remove the bolts and then refix the surface of the female end of the bolt and that stuff. That's cool stuff. But this teacher was telling me that, well, they don't do a lot of that. He says that if it was up to him, that it would be more hands-on taking the car apart. All boys love to take, I like to take shit apart. I'll take my microwave apart someday just to see what's inside of there.
Yeah, one time I'll let you go, Shining.
No, please leave.
Okay. One time I tried to take an RC car and an RC helicopter and just combine them. I failed. I failed horribly, but it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, what did you learn from that?
If you did
I
that
learned that I need some way to control them. It ended up, all I was able to do was connect the battery directly to the motors.
Yeah.
It started flopping around like a dead fish.
Well,
yeah, but that's how you learn, If you did that enough times, you'd get it right. If you did that 100 times, by the 100th time, you'd have a working model.
Yeah, but I don't have 100 RC cars and helicopters, though.
Well, that's why I need to be a robber. That's why you need to thief, brother. Be a thief. Yeah, why not? I'm serious. Just don't get caught. It's as Uncle Joe says, it's only illegal if you get caught.
Yes, you're only breaking the law if you get caught, and only stupid people get caught. Mgtows don't get caught.
Yeah, what even do you have the mask for?
Well, when I was at school, they used to teach gender studies. They used to teach feminism under the guise of humanities. They called it humanities in my school, and she used to teach us about how the patriarchy oppressed women for decades, and how women were owned by the men, and obviously I was like 15 years old. It all flew over me. I didn't know what this bitch was talking about, and then eventually one of the boys told his father. And his father wrote a letter to the school saying, "Look, you're teaching feminism under the guise of humanities." And the bitch, she the next day she went in and she gave that poor little kid a bollocking. So sad. So sad.
See now, people in that situation actually have the information to refute a lot of those.
Good. Yeah, that's
I personally double check everything my teachers say. I go online and I see if what they're saying actually holds any water. I don't take it at face value.
Does your school facilitate that? I mean, if your teacher talks some shit, and you say, "Look, teacher, you're talking shit," Shining Light, he had this excellent video, and he refutes your bullshit. I mean, would you get in trouble for that?
It depends on how you say it.
Yeah, obviously not like that. Obviously, you're gonna say it a lot more polite.
If you say it like how I'm talking now, you're probably not going to get in trouble, but if you're really belligerent and aggressive, yeah, that's not going to fly.
Yeah, that's just common sense, you can refute. The internet is a I didn't have the internet when I was a kid, and they could get away with these things. You know what they actually told me when I was younger, and I think it was the 7th grade. I couldn't take a typing class because that was for girls. Can you imagine not being able to type when I first looked at the computer? I was like, oh, I have to learn how to type.
Yeah, just sit there hunt and peck.
Yeah. Well, that's how I felt at school. It's like you weren't allowed to disagree with the teacher. You weren't allowed to refute what the textbook said. I mean, and the fact is, the textbooks they change every year. You know,
Nope,
They
they
do.
don't. My science textbook
Oh God.
in my sophomore year, one of my mom's friends' names was in that book.
yeah.
Just his name was
Oh my
in
God. Was
there.
that old? It was like, this is an ancient
Yeah,
book.
I
Yeah.
was I was just gonna say that the science textbooks change every year, but the school ones they just keep them, and
They
and
just,
and they're learning out of old books. I mean, science, technology is always developing, they're always discovering new facts and stuff, but they never update their textbooks, so they're learning from old textbooks. So by the time that you finish high school, you go into college, you go to
By the time you
university.
finish, oh,
Go on.
by the time you finish high school, your information is already outdated.
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
And they're not teaching anybody how to think. They're just teaching people the same information. Everybody gets the same lesson on the
It's
same subject. Nobody teaches people how to think. So when they come out of school, they have to learn how to be a free thinker, how to form their own opinions. If you
mm,
can't refute anything or challenge what you've been supposedly taught, then it's more akin to brainwashing.
Yeah,
Sure.
they have to teach to the lowest common denominator now,
Hmm.
because if one person is not getting it, then they have to stop everyone and
Oh,
help them.
yeah, I used to hate that.
No
Yeah.
Child Left Behind. They're
Mm.
looking at those laws now, the No Child Left Behind laws, and
It just means all the children are left behind.
oh yeah,
No,
yeah.
it
Me
means
too.
that the children just can't move. We're stuck there.
Yeah,
We're
I
all.
remember.
I'd rather be walking ahead than just stuck with a group.
Right.
Mm, mm, mm.
That gets irritating. It's like being the best baseball player on a team, and then all the rest you have to play the other kids. The kids that weren't going to necessarily play, and they all get and you lose the game then.
Mm.
Well, yeah, if you've got like this, I don't know what the name for the big baseball league is, so I'm just gonna use the NFL here.
Okay.
Uh, if you've got like this NFL player, skill level on this high school or even college team where they have to play everyone, and you've got him as a quarterback or some other important position, and they play him, if they are able to play him the whole time, they're gonna win because that incredible level of skill. But they can't do that, so they have to just bite that bullet and take the loss.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. That's Title 9 has a lot to do with it, and they're even talking about female quarterbacks and female they're going to give the lesser job, and I think that's the way they're going because they protect quarterbacks now over everything, and they just want to hand that job over to females now and say, look, they're just
But
as good.
no, I can guarantee when that comes around, the throwing capacity of all teams will just drop.
Mm. Mm. Well, if I can change the subject, I mean, one thing that used to disturb me, or actually does disturb me, is the increase in suicide in schools. I think every 2 weeks in England alone, a boy, it's normally a boy under 14 will commit suicide. In Japan, it's actually much worse. I don't know if you know, but in Japan, it's a huge problem. High school students committing suicide, but do you ever get any of that? You ever get kids that you think that they're so depressed that they're not going to make it through the year?
Um, well, that's actually somewhat interesting because one of my friends, I won't say his name obviously, but for a while he did cut himself, and obviously it stopped. But yeah, he had me worried.
Yeah. Is that something you can do in your school? Is mention, hey, there's a male suicide problem, and males are harming themselves. Would that be something that would be allowed to start a group of and just talk about things like we do in here and the importance of getting busy and the importance of not being depressed about all the gynocentric bullshit. and all them things. Would they allow that in a school? If a MGTOW your age goes into school and he says, "Hey, I've learned some stuff about, and we can prevent male suicide," would they let you have a group?
Even if they don't, I mean, just probably they would. But even if they don't, you can just go up to the people and say, "Hey, yeah, we can talk about this. The school's just not gonna facilitate it.
Yeah, the
You know,
schools.
we can just do Google Hangout like this."
But that's a brilliant idea. I mean, how susceptible do you think your friends would be if you guys form like a high school MGTOW group? You know, that would surpass Barbarossa, surpass Starfish. That wouldn't be difficult. Just me, brother. I'm nearly there. Yeah, but seriously, I mean, how do you think that would be received?
Well, since there's already a feminist group at my school, I
Oh
feel like
shit!
that would. Yeah, it's literally called "For the Love of All Things Human," and under it, they have these posters plastered around school, and under it says, "Fight the patriarchy."
Oh, dude,
Did the
man,
school facilitate that? Did the school facilitate the feminist group?
Yep.
So why? So there's no reason why they shouldn't facilitate a MGTOW group then, if they believe in equality. That's the angle you've got to go in with. And if they don't facilitate it, then you get the badass, the group of renegades that are doing something the school don't approve of.
Yeah.
And it'll be even better. More people will want to join.
Yeah, that would be true with boys
The
at least.
moment a school or a parent or anyone tells a child not to do something, that's the moment they decide to do it.
Yeah, that's an invitation to, like, I'm going to try that.
Oh,
Don't even go to the school then. Just tell the other lads, say, look, I went to the school and they said no, but I'm doing it anyway, fuck them. And then you'll just get a big following. The feminist group. I can't believe there's a feminist group at that early age. I mean,
I can believe it.
They've just been indoctrinated and brainwashed, surely. Yeah. What are they teaching them?
Well, I'll tell you what would have happened if I had started some type of MGTOW group at my school. My friends would have been so brainwashed and so afraid about what their parents would say or be excluded from school. They wouldn't have done it. You know, it's a come on. It's a what's the word now? It's an environment of fear in school.
Yeah.
Fear of being labelled and fear of being out of place. It is an environment of fear.
That's a tough place to do it as well at school when you've got young men who are chasing women, and surely you're going to get the highest amount of, you know, being called gay and getting shamed and being ridiculed and being called misogynist. You'll get all of that.
Is gay still an insult at school? Do they still get insulted?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
There you go, Messenger. Was old fogies were out of it. We don't know what's going on in there.
Yeah,
start us.
It was something we used to say to people. We would just take the piss out of the way they danced, and that was you gay doing that. Don't do that anymore. You know, like John Travolta.
You know why it's not an insult anymore? People they just stopped getting offended by it.
Well, yeah, we talked about this with what they're saying is boys are misogynist and boys are the patriarchy. But we can claim that word, can't we, and start a secret society of the patriarchy and say the patriarchy is good.
That is already started, brother. That's on its way. That's well on its way. That's us. We're the secret society.
We're the secret society of the patriarchy and combat what they're saying by saying, no, you got it all wrong. We're good, and we are the patriarchy. And,
that's right. We're the dead
secret society of the patriarchy broadcasting publicly on YouTube.
we're the dead Mgtow society.
Well, years ago, triads looked after the villages. They used to love it. Oh, here come the triads to save the day, you know. And they brought them food, and they beat up anybody that was causing trouble. So, you know, we're like the police for men, you know. We tell the truth, and that's the way it is. If people want to keep us quiet, it's tough, you know. We're not doing anything wrong. Yeah. Quite the opposite.
Yeah, that's the truth. MGTOW is not doing anything wrong. All we're saying is we're grabbing our independence, we're grabbing our agency, and we're running with it, and we're not giving it away. What's wrong
Yeah,
with that?
we're just bolting. We're out.
We're out.
Yeah. But that would be a wonderful thing, wouldn't it? If Mass Mgtow went away, he got a couple of his guys together, and the next thing you know, he's got a little high school clique going. Because that's where it's that. Because think about it, there's such like a concentration of boys there, and they're already, the feminist indoctrination has already started by then. I mean, he just says they've all got a feminist society.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But seriously, that is the best place to start, because in MGTOW we've got all these damaged and broken men turning up and saying, "Oh, I can't believe I fell for that shit." Yeah,
yeah.
and if you
The best
catch
thing
them
would be to
before
get
that,
them in MGTOW before that happens.
exactly.
Yeah, we do have 2 other 16-year-old boys, and it might be 17-year-olds. Remember that we went into that group shining, and there was the 2 other 16-year-old boys in there.
No.
I think it was with MGTOW United. I think it was. We just kind of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there was 2 others. So if I think maybe Anime Indian is younger too.
Yeah, he is.
And,
No, I've had a few young MGTOWs. Obviously there was that George guy, that male
George Freeman. Yeah.
Yeah, George Freeman. But no, in my earlier videos, I used to get a couple of guys saying that they were still in high school and they were following MGTOW. It's always encouraging to get those.
Good. If they're bringing feminism into high schools, then there's going to be the pushback from young men who, they don't want to hear that shit. They don't want to hear that bullshit.
Well, then you've got the indoctrinated ones, like my friend I mentioned earlier. Soon after I started following MGTOW, I told him about it, and he pulled the old if you're a male and you're not a feminist, you're a misogynist argument on me. And
I'm happy to be a misogynist.
In fact,
I'm happy.
I still have the
I
tag.
banned the word anyway. There's no such thing.
No such thing. I don't know what you just said there, but
I banned it in my video this morning. You've got to see that video. So there you go. If they can control the English language, so can I. It's banned.
It's banned. Yeah. Hey, George, did you find it hard to meet other young kids like yourself or young men like yourself on MGTOW, or is it an easy thing to do?
Well, since most MGTOWs aren't, under 18, it is hard. I found the text that I was just talking about. He says, "Women that say that all men are assholes aren't feminists. You know that, right?" That's exactly what he said, word for word. And I said, "I'm not a feminist. I don't feel inclination to be one. It's not a logical course of action for anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together." And I'm telling this to my best friend of 10 years. That's how idiotic I feel he is at that moment.
Yeah. It must be quite
Does he think he's going to get laid by being such a sin?
Nope.
Their motivation. Wow. Why is he doing it then?
Because he thinks he is.
He thinks he is a feminist.
He thinks he's going to get laid, or he thinks he's a feminist.
Yeah. Now, does he come from a normal household? Is there a father in the household?
Yes. There is. But
is he like a house clown type? Do you know him, or is he?
I know him actually. Well, he's a police officer, so.
A white knight. Oh dear.
So white knight, and the blue knight.
He's a white knight, true and true. So white he's turned blue.
Yeah.
He's letting his son grow up to be a feminist.
Yeah. Wow. Well, they have to toe the line. The police. They are the ones on the front line enforcing the Guyanacentrism. You don't get more white knight than the police. That's them.
They literally are the quintessential white knights.
All white knights, their gauge of how their white knightishness is what a policeman would do. I mean that's just that's just the problem.
They're the ones who go into men's houses and take them away from their their kids and
haul
tell
them
them
all
they
to
can
prison
go
for.
back. Yeah, fuckers.
Yeah. Yeah, they're the ones that haul them away to prison if they don't pay the alimony, and take the kids away if the wife has made false allegations, or that's them. They are the.
Yeah.
Do you know?
They're the debt collectors, aren't they? Like TFM says, they're just the
Right,
debt
yeah.
collectors. They don't catch the criminals. They go and enforce the child support laws and lock the men up for not paying.
Mm. They're just corporate tax collectors.
Yeah.
Since a lot of people like to talk about, and this is actually a related subject, to white
Go ahead.
knights. I forget what it's called, but it's the damsel in distress thing. Like after rescuing is part of it. Chivalry, that's it.
Oh,
We
chivalry.
like to talk about chivalry. Back in the age of chivalry, actually, if a woman just punches a man out of nowhere, she's gonna get laid out. There was no ifs, ands, or buts.
It wasn't even questioned years ago on well, definitely on British TV, probably in the US as well. The old James Bond films, he would think nothing of giving the bitch a fucking backhand. If she was screaming, and the old cowboy films, John Wayne, if a woman got hysterical, she got a fucking pimp slap, and it stopped her in her tracks. And that was the way to deal with women back then, and nobody batted an eyelid. That was the way it was done. So
Good old days.
well, yeah.
Yeah, but they are irrational, in those situations. Hey, if Jason's chasing you with a knife and she's screaming, he knows where you're at. You got to do something.
Yeah. My response, I think, okay, where's the nearest motor vehicle? And I just go in that direction, and then just drive away, and that horror movie over.
Horror movie over, yeah.
Or I take the other route, and I just kill the thing that's trying to kill us. They're done.
That's the silliness of movies. Why does this happen? Why do they let it go so far? I often think when I see the villain for the first time, I go, "Hey, why doesn't someone just kill him and end this movie now?"
Yeah, like even with Jason, who's supposed to be like invincible, what about decapitation? I mean, without a head, is it just gonna be like one of his cliches where he runs around without a head?
He may be able to put it back on. I don't know. You can do anything in movies.
Well, at the very least, that would give you time to, burn the body or just run. Yeah. Or take the head with you so that he can't see.
Okay. Yeah, we were talking.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. We were talking about the irrationality of movies, and that's a lot with feminism too. We see the feminist trope in the movie, and we've seen that recently with Mad Max. The strong, independent girl that's not realistic to society. And
I haven't seen Mad Max.
Oh yeah,
and from what I've heard, I really don't want to.
Yeah. It came down on Amazon now, so it's down to the rock bottom price. So pretty soon it'll be on TV, so we'll be able to watch it actually without buying into the gynocentric or giving the money to them. It was kind of for shit. It was. I watched it the other day. I actually ordered it on Amazon. I should have waited till it got to Netflix.
Yeah. If I'm ever going to watch it, it's going to be on Netflix.
Yeah. So yeah, the movie tropes of the unrealistic female with superhero powers. That's a real problem. But that sets little girls up for failure, doesn't it?
Yeah. I see that, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, I'm just waiting for you to fall on your rear end.
Yeah. We see this a lot in YouTube now too. We have the epic failures, they call them.
Oh yeah, I just watched one by Mayor of McTell, the Canadian.
Oh yeah, the Canadian girl. She with a simple task like jumping off the dock into the water, but she had high heels on, and then she slipped and she fell. It was like an epic failure, and it's just so funny. And that's what we look at in feminism. They set them up for failure. They set her up for failure, and she hit the that never gets older. It never gets fun. It never stops being funny.
Yeah, I mean that's a good thing about feminism. It's given people, especially MGTOWs, so many opportunities to laugh their asses off.
Oh yeah, it sure does. I haven't, I was telling Shining here earlier. I don't see the thread now. I can't get the thread back up on my computer for comments. Are there any comments in there, Shining? Do you see any comments or make messages? Any comments? Anybody asking any questions?
Here, I'll
Oh,
pull it up and see if there are any comments.
there's plenty of comments. The action is fast and high going on in the chat box. We've got like eight, 9 people, and they're chatting away. They're talking about all sorts of things. The last thing I just read was Cyborg said the guy from Iron Maiden, he got mouth cancer by oral sex, I think he said. I don't know what that's about. That's causing a stir down there.
Mouth cancer. That's got to be.
I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, by oral sex. Well, yeah, bacterial infections. Like
Yeah,
that.
but those don't normally cause cancer.
Yeah. There's anytime and
Oh.
be aware, men.
Mad
Women
Max
care.
is on Popcorn Time for free.
Is it on Popcorn Time for free now? Oh, see, I just paid
it's
$3.99 to get it. Yeah, I paid $3.99 now. I feel cheated.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I feel cheated now. I watched it. It was rather awful. I thought the film work was rather terrible in it, and the fight scenes weren't traditional to Mad Max, and some of the things were, but it was all in all just it was cringeworthy at certain points. Yeah, I haven't seen Ex Machina yet. Shining was saying about Ex Machina, and that's one of them I had those. But you have to be ready to watch that, don't you?
That's a good film. I watched that.
Ex Machina.
Yeah, it's a really good. It makes you question the male psyche.
Oh wait, is that the one where people just don't die and it spawned a meme like whatever Ex Machina? Like,
Ex Machina,
is it that
yeah.
one?
It's the one where the guy is told that he's won a competition within the company, and he gets to go to his boss's place, which is out in the middle of nowhere, and he works for like an intelligence company or computers, something to do with technology, and his boss has made a robot, an artificially intelligent female robot.
This is going to turn out great.
Yeah, and it is really it's like an experiment. The employee who's told he's won this competition gets to go out there, and there's cameras everywhere, and he forms a bond with the female robot, and she asks him questions, and she almost sort of psychoanalyzes him, and the whole thing. I won't spoil it for you, but you really get an insight into the male psyche and how men respond to anything with a female form. So he becomes attached to this female robot. But yeah, it's a really good film. I won't watch shit films. They bore me unless they make me think. And it made me think. It made me ask questions about myself, and it made me sort of read more and research different related subjects. So yeah, I would definitely watch it, and it's free on
Netflix. Yeah, I just did a Google search for it. It's free on Netflix.
Is it free on Netflix? Good. I was going to pay for that on Amazon.
Or Mad Max on Popcorn Time as well, Joe. That Fury Road.
Check things on Netflix and Popcorn Time before you buy them. Maybe that would be a good idea.
Yeah, it's so simple. Just I'm sitting there half vegetated out, eating something, and I'm sitting in my big chair, and it's just so simple to push the Amazon button and pay for it.
Oh, Joe. All that money you saved making coffee, down the drain.
Down the drain, yeah.
I'm going to go fill my water bottle. I'll be back.
All right.
Amazon was quite. I remember you saying something about there was MGTOW Messenger. there was these guys that were buying these the fake asses. And then I went and looked, and they were selling them on Amazon, and it's a plethora of simping. All the comments, they had 168 guys, and there was the ones I found interesting were where the women were saying, "I'm jealous of the plastic ass now because he likes it more."
Yeah, but it's been around for years with women. See, them and their fucking vibrators.
Yeah, the vibrators and all that, and now they're actually taken to that stuff now. And do you think there's a possibility that men are getting not asphyxiated, they're getting used to that now, and they're developing an emotional attachment to their
Good for
plastic
them.
ass?
You know what I can imagine? I can imagine a man having one of them for like 6 months and thinking, yeah, I can't wait to get home and fuck that big rubber but imagine trying to wrestle that from his fucking kung fu grip. It's like, we have to take the rubber ass back now. You've had it extended higher of the rubber ass. He'd fight you for it.
Yeah. Society
Yeah.
has.
Toy.
Society
Could you
has
imagine it'd be devastating if you lost it?
Did you watch the video? Did you see that?
I didn't know. I thought,
Oh my god! The guy was he was fucking. He was putting his finger up the asshole and he was doing all sorts of strange stuff. Putting his cheeks apart, and it's not even a real one. But you just think, oh god, man, don't get too close to that. You can.
I was about to ask what video so I can search it, but now I'm glad I didn't.
yeah.
Amazon's got a video on the plastic ass, and the guy was explaining that, well, it's got lips, and these lips are not very sturdy, and it's 3/4 size, and he was going into detail with it, and I was like, Jesus, men have become just simps and pussy beggars, and
he said, what did he say? He said, and this is how you clean out the debris. And I just thought, oh my god.
I don't know why guys need pussy. I mean, we have 2 hands for a reason, right?
I know.
One cell phone, one to,
Yeah, but if we're trying to teach guys to wean off women, then obviously these toys would be an aid. I think we were discussing that, Messenger, and in your upcoming video,
I have suggested that they find an alternative method that will service their needs.
Yeah. Now I could just see me. Yeah, I could just see me with one of those things. I'd be like, please hold my beer. When that empties, get a new one.
Yeah. You could have a built-in beer holder on the back of it.
Well, I mean, you can go to a website and pick things up for like $20 that can do that too. They aren't.
Oh yeah, I'm still trying to teach my dog how to do that. Open the refrigerator, get the beer out, bring it back to my. I seen that in a commercial, a Budweiser commercial, and I said, I gotta get one of those.
Yeah. But what is it? What is it that men miss? Did they miss the actual feeling of having sex, or did they miss having a conversation with a woman, or having
God no.
Oh.
Maybe. I mean,
isn't that what Skype and stuff is for?
Yeah.
And cell phones and.
Yeah, but
a conversation with a woman, you're just a human microphone that they speak into, and you just sit there and get spoken at.
Yeah.
It's painful.
It is painful, that 2, 3, 4 hours, and I know the young man here he probably hasn't had the experience of sitting at a restaurant for 4 hours waiting to get back to your house and having to listen to her stories about her cat.
No, thank you.
It's like, fucking shoot me, just so you're off in your brain wandering around, thinking about the restaurant ambiance and the tables.
Is it have you seen? Do any of you guys watch American Dad?
Yeah, I do.
Have you seen the episode where Stan turns into a man because of a pill, or into a woman?
Oh no, I didn't see that one. No.
So basically, what's going on is Stan. It starts off Stan and Francine sitting there talking at him. He's just sitting there. It plays the hum of an air conditioner over her voice, and uh, then it zooms into his head, and it just shows theater of the bored mind.
Yeah,
And
Theater
he
of the
just
Four
he
Minds.
just walks into like this theater in his head, sits down and watches. I think it was shadow puppets.
Yeah. Anything.
Yeah, anything to get your mind
Yeah.
off of it. Like some of this bizarre stuff. I think when I'm sitting there listening to a woman talk for a long period of time, it's just you can make a comedy about it.
You know, the problem is now, because they're so whiny and entitled, their pitch has gone up slightly, you know, a couple of octaves. So whereas before women were just boring, and as soon as they started speaking, you would sort of zone out, and the volume would gradually go down as you just stop listening. Now they've got this whiny, entitled tone to their voices where it's actually like fucking fingers on a chalkboard.
Yeah, you can't tune
And
it out anymore.
you can't tune it out, and you just think, what the fuck is that thing that's making my fucking hair stand up? And it's a woman's voice. It's just the way women speak nowadays. They're so demanding. Maybe it's because we watch a lot of sort of anything we see has got feminists in it or women screeching, and you think, oh, shut the fuck up, will ya? You know, it's just
Yeah, the
unbearable.
episode is called "Stan Goes on the Pill."
Tan goes on the
Look
pill.
it up on YouTube or on Netflix if you want to see it.
I'm gonna have to watch that one after this is over. Yeah, we
I'm just reading the conversations. They're just picking up on what we're saying about. Well, I think what I said about what do men miss about women, and Cyborg says I don't like any of the kissing sounds or the sex sounds.
kissing sounds.
Okay, yeah, it's season 10, episode 14.
Okay. Season.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I like what were you talking about, American Dad?
Yeah,
Yeah, I love
Stan
that.
becomes a woman, season 10. 14. Oh, and as soon as he becomes a woman, his boss, Avery.
He's bossy.
Yeah. Yeah, well, excuse me, guys. I'm just going to make some toast to go with my tea.
You're just gonna make some toast.
Tea as well.
Yeah.
I've got tea.
Yeah. You know the good thing about after I did the research on that, I actually ordered tea last night and from the bulk tea, so I have my winter tea for me for the whole winter now, and that was the only good part about going on Amazon and having to read through the horrible comments that were made about the plastic ass. Oh my God. But it's so ingrained in our culture now, isn't it? It's everywhere you see it. It started with the women's vibrator. Now it's worked its way up to the way men think about the animatronics of
You know what I think? I think every man should have a fucking rubber arse in the cupboard next to his bed, and it should be accepted because all women have for years had this fucking rubber dick that they use, and they use it during the day while the man's at work, and when he comes home from work and he wants some pussy, he doesn't get any. You know, she's been using the plastic cock.
Yeah, that's a problem in a marriage, and
So
that.
on the flip side, she should fuck off out to work. He should fuck the rubber arse all day. And when she comes in and she wants some cock, no, the rubber arse got it all. None for you.
Yeah, there were some women that were saying they were jealous and they were feeling some emotions towards the
Yeah.
tool, and that I found that very interesting when I was reading the comments that the women were jealous of it. So there goes that I'm having feelings about this inanimate object.
Hmm. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it could.
I read for comedy value the comments on that video, and there were women in there. And the first thing I thought was, why are you watching a video about a rubber woman's arse?
Yeah.
as a woman. And I asked one woman, she made a smart comment, and I said, "You're the one watching a video about a rubber woman's ass." And she said, I was looking for condoms for tight anal sex or something. And I said, just look for shit-proof ones, you know. And that was, you know, but she was looking to get men's attention. She was going through the comments sort of saying, these men all need sex, and let me see if I can get some attention here. It's very strange. Like you say, almost as if she was jealous of the men looking at that, and she was like, don't look at the video, look at me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day, and I was thinking, women have a.
My internet cut out.
Okay, that's okay. We were talking about women have a nurse mentality when it comes to that, don't they? We see this on Tinder. We see this in Mgtow when the one woman come around and she says she's just going to be the Mgtow mother, and they have this nurse's mentality that they're trying to be supportive, and it's fake. And
Why do we need to become ever? That would be my question.
what was that asked?
He was talking about the Mgtow mother.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, why do we need that? That's completely unnecessary.
No, we don't need that, and it's harmful and it's destructive too, Migna, but that's what they come with. They try to employ that there's some nurse's duty,
They assume the role themselves, don't they?
They're assuming a role of a motherly role of a nurse, and they think there's some validation in that.
Yeah, again, they're looking to service the man's needs. They're saying, you know, I've got what you want. They've recognized what the man wants, and they're saying, okay, you know, come and put your head on my chest and I'll make it all better. And they've always got an agenda. There's always an ulterior motive.
There's always an agenda. Yes, there is. Now, Health and Human Services were beating around that idea of sexual nurses probably in the late 90s. I don't know if you remember that. For men that were depressed and stuff like that, and then these women were. I noticed then that they were coming out, and they would just be paid prostitutes by the system, and they were jumping all aboard that because there was something to be had in that, and there was a system to be formed through that.
What about these cuddle cafes? Is that real?
Oh yeah, cuddle cafes. I've seen that.
What? I've never heard of this.
It's supposed to be like human interaction and affection, and I don't know how. I've read about it a couple of times, but do people actually pay for a fucking cuddle?
Yeah, there's men that out there that pay the woman that come to their house, and they sit on a couch, and I can't remember what my brother used to call it. He would call it cuddling, and they would pay just to have that girl do that with them.
Oh God, that is so sad.
No.
That's what a dog is for.
Yeah, that's
just
the
a dog or a nice cat or something.
Yeah, is that a simping? Is that something that grows from the simping and the emotional immaturity that some men have about that, and they're always simping?
It's even worse because they can't even brag about their fucking conquest, can they? They can't say, "Yeah, that's 2 bitches now I've paid to come around and cuddle me." It's embarrassing.
I mean, at least just, I mean, you can find a woman on a street corner and just be done there if you absolutely need it.
Yeah, there's something they're saying something about, and what they might be saying is they might need some mental health issues. They have some issues, and they may need to go see a psychiatrist about that. But somewhere here in society, where someone's always embracing these sicknesses.
I did read, and it was about human touch, and I was looking into whether it was detrimental to your mental health if you abstained from affection and human touch. Just looking at the long-term effects of being a sort of Mgtow monk, if you like, and thinking, okay, if you're going to be serious about this, you need to be aware it could fuck you up. But they were sort of trying to sell massage and that sort of thing, and a female masseur said that she's on more than one occasion had people just come in for a massage. It's been so long since they felt the touch of another human being that they burst into tears. They literally burst into tears because they were overwhelmed. I don't know what sort of transference happens when, you know, somebody gives you a massage. But yeah, they couldn't handle it, and they were sort of emotionally overcome by the experience.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know we've talked about this before. I don't like people touching me anymore. I don't like that. I
No,
told you an ex-girlfriend came around yesterday and she gave me a hug, and I found it rather. It was rather
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable, and it was like, oh no, I don't need that anymore in my life. I've transcended
Yeah,
that, and there's absolutely nothing I get from that. And that's they say babies will die, and that's always the argument, isn't it? Babies will die if they get touched. Well, you know what? At 5 or 6 years old, you're supposed to get over that, and you're supposed to
yeah.
and the male is supposed to become part of the boy's life, and then start teaching him how to be a man. But that
You know,
doesn't.
one of my sisters hugged me the other day, and I don't know if it was more for her or more for me, or whether she thought that it would do me some good. Or or she's a female in my family, so she showed me some empathy because I'm her brother. But really, it made me feel uncomfortable. Um, and it was just like, I just thought, okay, I don't know why you're doing this, but fine, you're my sister. And
Yeah.
because she's quite small and bony as well, it was quite an unpleasant experience. I just thought,
Yeah.
all right, look, you've lost a bit of weight, you need to eat some more food. And then
That's
afterwards, I thought, I don't need hugs. They, I don't derive anything from it. It doesn't console me or make me feel better about anything. Maybe I'm just
yeah.
dead. Maybe I'm just dead inside and unfeeling or whatever. But really, a cuddle cafe,
No.
waste of money.
Now
I
that's
just looked over at the chat that people are in, and Sling of David says,
okay.
wait, how can you have a group about Barbar? Barbar is a cult leader of Mgtow, apparently.
Oh,
Okay,
So,
what is
I
that?
don't,
Buy
I don't
rich.
know. Apparently Barbarossa is our cult leader. I'll have Barbarossa.
yeah, we can't have a meeting without him. He stopped in and said hello.
I need to do a video on cult of personality. Okay, what does that
Oh, and
mean then?
then
What does he mean by that?
I don't know. Cult of personality, like a cult of people personalities? I'm not sure. I'd like that to be elaborated.
I can't see it. Darn.
Okay, well, that's what drugs does for you, everyone. Stay off the drugs.
Okay. Yeah, but I was thinking of what you were saying earlier, and we'll regress a little to when she came up to me and she felt bony and everything, and my natural instinct at that point was, after I hugged her, was you need to get some food in you. Can I buy something for you?
Yeah,
Just walk over to the microwave, make her a pizza or something.
Yeah. Come on over and get something in. We'll put some weight back on you. And
Eat a
it was
sandwich.
yeah, eat a sandwich. Better yet, make the sandwich, and then you can make two.
Yeah, I feel,
Yeah, my mind went all there. Yeah, the MGTOW mind goes places when in those situations, and that's where my mind went. It was a deep concern for her that she was too skinny.
yeah, yeah. Maybe I don't know. We should look at the the reason why people hug each other. Is it like trying to get some sort of sense of, you have to be that close to it to know how someone's feeling if they tense up or if they push you away, or you can actually feel them, whether they're physically well or not. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, there's a lot to do with pheromones, and women can smell when a male is sick or has too much bacteria in his body, so that automatically comes out. And with
So
the
why don't
male,
when men are
I
married?
just googled why do people hug each other, and
uh
it's something to do with. It says when you hug someone, it releases oxytocin, also known as the cuddle hormone.
now
It
that's what
makes you feel
happens.
warm inside. I don't.
yeah,
Okay,
I don't
maybe
get it.
I guess so.
Yeah, that's what a baby does. And then aren't we supposed to mature out of that? And these people that write these things, aren't they just acting childish?
Yeah, well, that was the Google answer.
Yeah. But look at a wife now. See, look at a wife, or especially a woman once she's had a child. She doesn't want to hug the man. She doesn't care about the man. She doesn't. She has no interest in his needs or anything. So, I mean, hugging, really, it's just it's pointless. It's for children. It is just to make a child feel secure. You know, a
Right.
child will cry when the mother or the parent gets a certain distance away, because the
Right.
child feels helpless and it thinks they're completely dependent on that person. And if that person is away, then the child will panic and cry. You come back, and the first thing you have to do is pick them up and let them know that you know you're close. That's the only
Yeah,
purpose I can see. But for
well,
adults,
that's an evolutionary thing because
yeah,
before we had people, being paid to take care of kids. It was all on the parents to keep them from being eaten or taken or just dying.
yeah,
Yeah, the tribal thing when the men went out to hunt, they had to gather together in a group and everything. But I noticed this with my dog too. Children and dogs and females. It was a thunderstorm the other day, and the dog got scared and jumped up on me. And like you said, you know, uh, I just kind of grabbed the dog and said, "Hey, everything's okay. It's just a thunderstorm." But he didn't know the difference to when women perceive these fears and children perceive these fears. They basically what they're saying is they don't know the difference.
there's a
Like,
connection then with that learned helplessness. The dog that won't come out of the cage even though it's got the means to,
yeah,
because there's no reward, and the reward in the experiment was affection. If you come
affection.
out, the scientists will make a fuss of you, stroke you and give you affection. When they took that away, the dog just didn't come out. It saw no reason for coming out, and it stayed enslaved. It stayed in a prison, and almost like the married man who gets no affection, he stops seeking it and he
Yeah,
just accepts his fate as a slave. He doesn't look
yeah.
to escape. He doesn't look to do anything. He just stays where he is. He doesn't expect affection. He knows it's not coming, and he just learns to be helpless. These are the blue pill men. They live in these loveless, sexless marriages, and they just accept it as their fate. They, you know,
Yeah, the family terrorist takes over, and then that's like we said, she's constantly blah blah blahing on about something, and you're off, thinking those thoughts in your head somewhere else, and you're just going, yes, dear, yes,
You've
dear.
got the air
That's
conditioner going.
the air conditioner is going in your head, and you're going, yes, dear, yes, dear. It's a natural learned response, and then they do this in life. They go buy the gift to shut her up. They do something to shut her up. And we see this so often with elderly married men where they, God, I hate my wife. That's what Shiny was saying. We've seen some of these videos where I hate my wife, and the only way to get her
mm,
to shut up is to buy something for her. But that was Schopenhauer, what you just did on Schopenhauer too, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah. They're superficial. They assume that because the man comes home, and I mean, the men do it to themselves. He comes home and he gives her the weekly wage, and then he sends out the message that anything he earns is for her to spend. And
Yeah,
the same gifts, she can command these gifts. She can sulk and pull her face like she's a child, and she knows because she does that there's the emotional blackmail for him to feel bad, go and buy a gift. So she does something bad, she gets rewarded for it, and that's how they work, and that's how when men die, women assume that they have the right to inherit the property and fucking squander it away because they didn't work for it. That's the whole entitlement thing.
Well, that's why you do everything in cash, and then when you're about to die, you just burn it all.
burn it all. Yeah, I'm gonna take it with me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking it with me to the afterlife.
That was a big question at the end of at the end of my relationship with my divorce, that she never really respected the time I had put in at the steel mill, the time I had put in at the shop. That money seemed free to her, and she
Yeah.
expected it. It was like she would often say that, oh, you guys are just drinking beer and getting high down there. And it couldn't be. It was exactly the opposite. We were working hard for that. The money had value.
Yeah, it's easy to spend someone else's money. And I used to say to my ex, it's such a nasty thing to do to keep demanding from someone, to wear them down to the point where they just go, look, just have that and shut the fuck up. And I would catch her looking at jewelry and speaking to the woman in the shop, and I say, what are you talking about? You can't afford that, and don't purchase it on my behalf. And there would be times where I just think, this is just never ending. It's relentless.
Well,
Even after a day's shopping, it would be, right, let's go back to the car. And we'd have to cut through the local. It's called Boots in the UK, where they sell all the perfumes and that.
Yeah.
We'd have to go through Boots and out the back door. And, of course, we'd go past the perfume counter. And she'd be looking to try and get another 30 quid's worth of perfume before we even got to the car. And I'm like, fucking keep walking.
Yeah.
Don't stop. We're not buying anything else. Just keep fucking moving. And oh, man. God, kill me. Someone, please kill me. It was that bad.
Oh, the joys of a long-term relationship. That's all he missed. Those.
For a cuddle. All for a cuddle.
All for a cuddle.
Them wanting more is just to bring, if you're gonna be in a long-term relationship and you're going shopping, bring, $50 in cash and no cards except your driver's license. That's it. You only have X amount of money. You cannot physically spend any more.
You can get 2 balls for that in London,
You gotta treat it like a gambling experience. You don't bring your whole bank book with you when you go gambling. You just bring a set amount of money.
You could buy a plastic ass for that. Never mind 2 balls.
How much were those? They spanned from 50 to like
5,000.
5,000. Yeah.
Oh dang. Who could spend that much?
Grand, fucking hell! You could probably make.
People buy them. No, honestly, people buy them. The guys that are serious about never wanting to be with another woman again, they'll buy a £5,000 wax polymer doll. It's not just the ass; they buy the entire doll, and it comes with like clothing and makeup. Yeah, and perfume.
I'd wait for the Oculus Rift to come out and then just get some peripheries for it. I mean,
they've put like inside skeleton, so they'll even move and adjust like a real person.
See, now we've gone full circle, haven't we? I mean, I did see a clip of a Japanese man buying one, and he said, "Well, it's not a woman." He said, "It doesn't smell. It's not a human being. You don't have to, obviously you have to clean it out. You don't have to feed it. It's just." But if they get to the point, like you say, where they're putting skeletons in them and they're movable and that sort of thing, I mean, he's gonna sort of be rushing home from work saying, "Yeah, I can't wait to fuck my wax polymer woman." And he's gonna get attached to that thing.
Oh, where's that guy who always puts his dolls on his videos? Do you think he'd buy one?
Raging Golden Eagle.
I don't know, maybe.
Let's get that mother on. Let's give me. Yeah, I bet he could give us a little insight into that.
Yeah, there was just a movie out about the guy that bought a full-fledged Japanese doll. It was Ryan Gosling.
Oh,
and he's the feminist, and he was kind of crazy, and he had bought one of those, and he was talking to it. He'd change it, put it to bed, and he was pretending it like it was an absolute wonderful woman that was around the house, and there was some mental issues with him. So.
Well, yeah, obviously, if you're doing that, there are some mental issues.
Yeah, the whole town and the church that he had gone to had bought into the idea that they just had to let him do this, so he brought the doll to church.
Yeah.
Sex dolls in church, everybody.
If he couldn't afford the doll, what would he do? Just take a rubber ass to church? And
I'd like to see the pastor's face on that one. There's my new girlfriend. Got to give it a slap so it shakes.
If it's
Well,
wax, how come it doesn't just melt? I
oh,
mean,
it's a wax polymer. It's made from the same atomic structure, but it's just different.
Is it like that ballistics gel? You know they use on MythBusters, and
oh,
they
Yeah.
that, yeah.
the human flesh.
Yeah,
Can
it's
you
supposed to
shoot
feel
it?
like the real thing.
Yeah, can you shoot it? He's like, I'm sick of you, bitch.
Someone said, "Are they waterproof?" And he said, "No." He said, "Damn!" He said, "I always like to drown them when I'm fucking them."
Wow.
Oh my god.
Well, that's what
Yeah,
for MGTOW.
that's enough. Yeah, we are misogynists.
No, obviously the ultimate step is the robot. I mean, like the film we were just talking about. The ultimate step would be to make a robot that would be indistinguishable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that would be the
Yeah, but
ultimate
then
step.
you've got people who are already complaining about the robot not being able to give consent, which I'm just
Oh
thinking, why? Why?
no,
yeah, but
I think we're
then they, by the same standards, their dildos aren't giving consent to being
Well,
shoved
I
up
mean,
a hole.
and they're in their minds, there's sort of a difference between a full-fledged
Yeah,
Yeah.
humanoid robot and just a disembodied penis.
What constitutes a robot? You know, what constitutes rape? Again, I mean, uh, they they say you have to have a penis to rape. You have to be able to uh, penetrate. So that by that standard, that's why they say women can't rape.
Yeah, I don't buy that at all.
Yeah, they can
yeah.
Not for a second.
I was just reading about that subject with the artificial systems, and I was telling Mick, Messenger yesterday that these people automatically go to the artificial systems, and then what responsibility, what moral agencies does the designer have to take for the moral responsibility for the machine?
Oh,
None, because it's a piece of metal and synthetic skin.
Yeah,
that's like saying, how are they going to prove it? It's not going to file a report or ring the police. But then you'd have to, then you'd have to apply it. Or people say, right, well, I can't shag the rubber ass anymore because it's going to get me done for rape. And
yeah,
what would they do? Go and shag a grapefruit or something? Are you going to get done for raping a piece of
Well, I
fruit
mean, but
or your hand?
disembodied ass isn't really a problem because sort of like a dildo where it's just a disembodied penis, it's a disembodied ass.
yeah. They went with whether the moral agency was a responsibility and attention. It could be transferred somehow to the disembodied ass, and whether it had became a slave, and that's what you were saying, whether it had became a slave to the owner, and that somehow there was some
God.
responsibility of the designer to inhibit that problem. Like the designer is supposed to give it feminism from the inception.
Oh, fucking TFM did a great video on disembodied asses and virtual headsets.
Yeah,
And just the imagery I got
If
while I
a
was listening to
disembodied
that.
ass is a slave, and so is my phone and my computer,
yeah, your
because I
phone and
use
your
these all the
computer
time.
is, yeah,
Yeah, it's like an appliance.
So are
It's
these
like,
toenail clippers I've got on my desk here.
hmm,
So are these
yeah, it's
speakers.
just
This is
like,
remote. You guys can't see what I'm talking about, but
yeah. So they go into this, objects are acted upon thing, and subjects are, objects and subjects dichotomy, and this is feminism in a nutshell. How they take these things a long way, don't they?
yeah,
yeah.
they took it. It just took it too far.
Yeah. Now the robot has some agency, and we have to respect the robot's rights.
They talk about the pendulum swinging, and it's obviously gone too far because it's caused some serious damage and killed people, fucked up people's lives beyond measure. So how far does the pendulum have to swing before it swings back again? Because it seems like they're either trying to keep it there or make it swing even further, which is just, I mean, it's becoming a fucking joke.
Yeah, they push those goalposts so far, and like you said at the beginning of this, they don't want to give back what they got.
No.
They want to push it
And
Yeah.
farther.
they're still getting given
Well, I
it. I know
mean,
they do ludicrous things, but the legislation is still getting passed.
Yeah, the legislation is still getting. Well, that's because the the percentage of women in the country that are allowed to vote are exceed now the percentage of men that are allowed to vote. And then in some situations with the imprisonment and you can get a simple felony from a nonviolent crime now, you're not allowed to vote in some countries. So that increases the amount of women that have the ability to vote, because they don't get the same. There's no penalties. I mean, a woman in a lot of countries can actually get away with a violent crime and not get 0 pennies and 0 felony, but a male will automatically get that penalty.
Yeah. Well, my ex.
In some countries, the automatic penalty is just being stoned. So.
My ex assaulted me on a couple of occasions. She was never arrested or charged, and she works with vulnerable adults. She's a carer. She still works in the care industry, where you have to have a police check, and she'll pass it because she's never been convicted, yet she's violent and abusive.
Right. We all know a few women in our lives that they're violent, they're abusive, they're neglectful. But when the authorities come out, and that's what we were talking about, the blue thugs, they shrug that off and say, oh, well, she's a woman, she has a vagina, and it's the golden vagina, and then they give her the pussy pass.
Yeah.
There are cases of those pussy passes, as you put it, not working.
Yeah.
Very few and far between, but at least they're happening.
Right. I did a video, the eventual... with the woman that struck me, the eventual was I kicked him out of their house. So her inability to take responsibility for what she had done had cost her husband and her children a house. And she was happy with that. She was okay with that.
Yeah.
And that's sick. That's a sickness. If women would simply take responsibility, they can, and they say they care.
That's the thing I was thinking about during the week. I was looking at that Stanford prison experiment, and I know I keep repeating this, but it just struck me as this is how society is. Control and power and authority are handed to. If it's handed to anyone, they'll abuse it. It's just human nature. Evil is a human thing, and people commit evil acts, destructive acts on others simply because they feel that they're allowed to do it. They're not going to be held responsible, and they've been given the authority, and they abuse people with that power and control. And this is the thing. Nobody's ever thought to say to women, stop what you're doing and have a look around at all the fucking destruction you've caused. Have a look at all the suffering you're causing, and actually put it on them and say, how do you feel about all of this that you've caused by your actions? You're responsible for this. Do you feel remorse? Do you feel guilt? Do you feel ashamed of yourself? And they won't. They won't. They just look and they say, I didn't do that. Stop whining, stop blaming, stop minimizing. This is your fault. And they just project. They do.
Yeah, it's permitted by them. We were talking about this with the elderly in my community out in real life here. We were having a talk, and one of the guys were concerned about one of the elderly men in this general area, and he was having these girls come around to do things for him, and I spotted one of them, and I said, isn't that the girl that was selling the fake meals to the elderly about 10 years ago, and she had she didn't catch any consequences then. So over this last 10 years, she's just been moving from one elderly person to the next elderly person, and she's probably, flips them off a little love, a little hug, a little, sex, or, a BJ here or there. And before you know it, she's supplementing her income through this person, and, he's signing her on to the last will and testament.
Yeah.
And they're allowed to do that. We see that so much in our community, especially with these, and it goes back to they think they're caregiving. They think they're doing something plausible that's good in society, but really they're just setting these old people up for the big hit at the end.
Yeah, they're like the vultures circling.
Yeah, we get this so much in my community, and these elderly men that are lonely, they're not MGTOW. they've never taken a red pill in their life. They're still buying into it, and they go, oh well, it's okay if I just give her $20 here or $30 to come over and be my companion for the day and maybe do my dishes or something like that. But that grows. All of a sudden they got the checking account number, and we see this so
Oh,
often where they have the checking account number, they're spending there, and I've seen this with an elderly woman too, and they do not generally do it to men specifically. It's non-gender specific, but a friend of mine, the woman, the girl had moved into the house of the mother and taken over the duties of paying the bills, and all of a sudden she was, buying herself, buying her kids this, buying that, and the bills got behind, and she was essentially stealing from the account under a power of attorney.
I thought about getting a cleaner.
that's when
And
you empty the account and hide the cash under the mattress or something.
but they're nosy, aren't they?
They're nosy.
This is what I was going to say. I thought about getting a cleaner, but I couldn't trust a woman in my house because they're just nosy.
Yeah,
If you say to them, don't go in that room, just do the other 3 or 4 rooms, they would. They'd go in the room you told them not to go in.
Yeah.
Cameras and locks.
Right, they'd be writing down your checking and bank numbers and stealing checks and looking for a gold or silver or jewelry, of a past relationship you may have. Them things will disappear. I was thinking about getting a cleaner too, and I just no, that's not something I should do. You're essentially you're letting a woman into your life that you broke the first MGTOW law, no cohabitation.
Yeah.
Just because it's a job doesn't mean they're not just assimilating those duties that a woman or a wife or a girlfriend would do.
Just because they're getting paid also doesn't mean they're going to be professional about it at all.
Right.
And they will do that. And Raging Golden Eagle, it was, I know we were talking about him earlier, but a while ago he posted a video of the Mangina Chronicles. Have any of you seen that video?
Oh yes, that was the lead up to the Mangina Awards.
I don't know. When he gave her a blank check, I literally almost had a seizure right there. I just, nope! This guy deserves what he's getting. He gave her a blank check. He deserves whatever.
Yeah, that's what they do. They write blank checks to these vultures, these parasites, for that love, that cuddle, that immediate gratification.
Nope, cash only if it's going to happen at all.
Yeah, it's cash and go here. And I get that same immediate gratification from doing well on a test, or I can fix my lawnmower or build a new lawnmower, or build something in my garage, and I get that same gratification. And I get something better than gratification. I get something useful in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something you wouldn't have had if you'd have spent that time looking for gratification from a woman.
Yeah, validating my existence through a woman,
You'd have got that quick fix from a woman, that cuddle or that BJ, and you'd come home and your lawnmower still won't work.
Yeah, my lawnmower still doesn't work. Yeah, I tried to explain that to one, and we talked about this yesterday a little about sometimes men see face value on things, and I was trying to explain in a lawnmower story about one of my videos on these are the things happen in real life. You have to do these things. You have to have a lawnmower. You have to have a car to a certain point or a way to get somewhere. And they said, well, the first thing one guy said was, well, you can weed whack it. And that's not what I was talking about. Yeah, that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about the idea of,
some way to mow the lawn.
Yeah, some way to do these things that you have to do in your life. And, having a better lawnmower, instead of going out on a date. And we spent $160 on a date sometimes.
Oh shit! I'd never spend that much on a date.
Oh wait, they get more expensive.
Oh yeah, it can cost you a house.
The most I've spent was on a girl was it was this last school year before I took the red pill, and So she liked Monster and Rockstar energy drinks.
Okay.
So, and you can pick them up at the local,
Right. Yeah.
for, 2 for $3. So about twice a week, I'd pick one up for me and one up for her before school, and this went on for about 4 months. Let me just pull up a little calculator here, if I can. Yeah, I have the calculator on right. Okay, so $3 times 4 weeks in a month times, yeah, that was about $48 total just on drinks. And then there was more thrown in there, but that's what I can account for instantly.
Yeah, yeah. Women can do that. They can, go from one place to another with. And that's the idea of the community too. Women use the community as their resources. That sexual cryptis. It's not just you giving her that $48. It's the next guy over here that you don't know about buying her some, a couple hot dogs and some cookies, and then this guy over here paying her phone bill, and this guy over here doing that, and
Well, she was
we
15,
yeah,
and
we don't see these things about how they use the community. Yeah, I guess at 15, what they want is just a few, but it does get more expensive as you get older.
But maybe
Well,
that's how they learn. They learn, and they
right.
start out small. It's a couple of soft drinks here and there, and they think, oh wow, I don't have to pay for anything. That's
Yeah,
free.
they get free drinks at the bar, or that sucker bought me this, and then this guy's bought me this, and then all of a sudden it's from you know, little things like that, and then it grows into a huger amount of hypergamy when when she actually got something to offer too. You add that in when she does get breasts.
okay,
Yeah.
I've added other things that I remember, and the number here now is up to 95. That's
95.
yeah,
You can buy
$95 over four
two rubber
months.
asses for that. You know that. You can get the black one and the white one.
Yeah.
See, if I had those $95, I'd be able to do other things.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Messenger, I really didn't want to bring it up, but did you notice the blatant racism in that too?
I didn't really.
The black one was less expensive than the white one.
Oh, I read the
Uh,
comments and
it
they said the
was,
black one was more expensive.
yeah,
I don't know. I would
the
just buy the cheapest one. I wouldn't give a fuck what
yeah,
color it
the
was. I just
cheapest
think,
one.
yeah, just turn the lights out. Fuck it.
That was that was the first thing I noticed. I went on there, and one was $50, and that was a white model of the same version, and then the black one was the white one was $53, and then the black one was $50, and I said, well, that's fucking racist.
Well, it could be the
Well, I
coloring. You
mean,
don't know. It
yeah,
could cost more
that's
to
the thing with
produce, or
dye.
Yeah,
well, it could be demand. You know the way they are when they sell stuff. If they sell, say they sell out of 100, they'll sell 55 black ones and
yeah,
55 white ones and 45 black ones. They'll go put the price up on the white ones. They're selling like fucking hotcakes. It's probably not a race issue. Probably just them trying to increase profit. Um, yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we're
interesting
coming.
subject, rubber asses.
Yeah, we're coming up to the end of the. We're probably coming up to the end of here, the last 15 minutes of this broadcast. Shining's out, and I'm gonna close it down here pretty good. Does anybody have anything to say at the end here?
No, I think we covered it all. Did we
Yeah.
talk about we
All
spoke
right,
about
I gotta
people
go.
deleting channels, didn't we?
Deleting channels. Oh, like oh yeah,
Oh,
we started off with you rage out and you get mad about something and
yeah,
delete your channel. Speaking of that, if I would like to say if Osiris is out there, and I know he deleted his channel last week, if he just get a hold of us and if he wants to talk about, you know, things.
yeah,
Uh,
or even just send a message and say I'm okay, or this
yeah,
happened. And then people aren't left sort of hanging in. They don't worry that, you know, something
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, he was one of my favorite MGTOWs, and he just up and left. And if he's out there, if he's watching, if he hears this, just drop us a line. Tell us
Yeah.
what happened there.
Yeah.
Okay, on that note, I'm just going to stop the broadcast here. You guys take care.